Want to watch the festivities, and we are visually oriented. We're going to be showing you some videos today, some Mozart sketches, amazing stuff. You can tune into TrentoVision.tv, and our technicians are working on bringing the picture up, so if you don't have a picture, you will soon, right? You will soon. Somebody tell me something.
It should be up there.
Should be up there. I'm rebooting here, and I think we are good to go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, in particular, our activism partners in the teapartycommunity.com. Just teapartycommunity.com. Welcome. We launched your website a couple of weeks ago. Right here in this studio in Boca Raton, we had one of the founders of Tea Party Community, Ken Crow. Great guy. Ken is a great guy. He was here. And Jan Morgan, the illustrious Jan Morgan, the wonderful Jan Morgan.
The feisty Jan Morgan.
The feisty Jan, the don't mess with her Jan Morgan.
Yeah. And she's not even from Texas.
No, she was here in studio, and all of us just hit it off. All the TrentoVision team and the Tea Party community folks and Jan and Ken, we had a wonderful 2 days together. So welcome, Tea Party community folks. Tell your friends to tune in every day, 3 to 6 o'clock. We are national security analysts. We have expertise, and we're connected with folks who have expertise. We're good, right? Mark, you're here for a minute because I have a little announcement I want to tell the people. As you know, I run an activism organization, a counterterrorism organization, the United West. That's why we can't have open water up here. The United West. And we fight Islamic Jihad. We go after the Muslim Brotherhood to expose these operatives here in America and show them for who they are. We'll be doing a little bit of that this evening. We'll tell you about that. But last night, I woke up to an email from our technical director, J. Mark Campbell, and he said, we got zapped last night. All three websites, the United West, Tea Party Community, and TrentoVision were down. And we got some email from the server guy that went blah, 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 blah. Mark, explain what happened.
Well, they basically said in a bunch of technobabble that, well, we have double redundancy on our servers, but we really don't know what happened. We think it was somebody working on a line somewhere. I used to work in a NOC, in a network operations center. That's always the excuse you use when you don't want to tell people what really happened, that they broke into your system. Oh, some guy was working on a line. But so they knocked down the Tea Party community site last night. They knocked down TrentoVision, and they knocked down the United West.
All
now,
three.
just coincidentally, all three of those just went off. Oh, because some guy stepped on a line. Come on, give me a break. I know all these things have double redundancy on backup lines and everything. It's a BS excuse. We were attacked again last night. I know it.
Okay, and we've been sustaining through the Tea Party community, teapartycommunity.com. We've been sustaining ongoing botnet attacks, hack attacks of a
unprecedented nature.
Well, unprecedented, but also of a governmental nature of not necessarily the United States government, but other governments. We're seeing it coming in from other countries. Very, very sophisticated attacks. And what does that say? What does that say to everybody?
You must be doing something
Well,
right.
yeah. If you're making them mad, you're doing something right.
Sure. And we're goofy little people sitting in a little room, you know.
But this is making a big impact. Like you said yesterday, we know Lindsey Graham watched this thing. We know a lot of important people are watching what we're doing down here, and they're running scared because we're putting out information other people are afraid to put out. And now our stuff is coming out on Glenn Beck, and it's starting to get a lot of
today. Well, I can share a little bit of that with the audience. We have sources all over the place, and Fox News, regrettably, has kind of sealed their doors to some of the critical national security information, particularly as it relates to Saudi Arabia. Oh, I wonder why.
Oh, no.
They happen to have Prince Alawid bin Talal on their board. He's a 9% owner, and he probably doesn't like us or anybody saying bad things about the Saudi, about his potentate uncles and cousins and brothers and sisters and all 6,000 of them I think 3,000 are in Morocco, not Morocco, in Monaco right now at the
That's a lot of royalty.
at the roulette tables, you know. But in any event, people give us information and they say, hey, these guys know how to get this stuff out. They have credentials to do that. So we get information and we get it out. Pretty simple. And today, somebody called me and said, hey, you're all over Glenn Beck. He's doing a report on the John Guandolo interview that we did last Friday. And Beck did an extended interview. And then in his Blaze website, they did, one of his guys wrote sort of an analysis of our show. And the thesis of our show was John Brennan is unfit to be the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. And there were 3 points. Why? And we went into great detail, and go watch the video if you want to see that. One, he collaborates with the enemy, with the Muslim Brothers and others. 2, he doesn't understand Islamic threat doctrine. And if he does, he doesn't explain it properly, so he loses on either point. And number 3, he was the target successfully of an influence operation by the Saudis to turn him to be an apologist for them. But the person that broke the story, former federal agent John Guandolo, said that he is in contact with 2 individuals who work in the USG, who were in the room, saw firsthand, witnessed the conversion of John Owen Brennan, 57 years old, National Security Advisor to President Obama, saw John Brennan's conversion to Islam. So though we qualified 100 times that in and of itself, being a Muslim doesn't disqualify you technically to be the head of the CIA. I'm trying not to laugh when I say that.
Yeah.
Because the Constitution says there will be no religious test. But the problem with that, folks, is Islam is more than a religion. I am a Christian, and it has no political motivation. It has no political agenda. I don't have a memorandum as to how to implement a Christian jihad to build a Christian civilization. And Judaism, you guys have, I have 2 Jewish folks here with me. You guys have a world plan for domination other than the protocols?
If we did, why are we where we are?
Oh, you know what? I never read the protocols. I'm reading them while I'm on the machines in the gym. It's almost insane blabber, a bunch of it. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. But Jews, Christians, we don't have a world political program. Whereas Islam does. It's documented. It's being implemented. We see it. Therefore, if John Brennan is a Muslim, he has to renounce, like Zuhdi Jasser does, political Islam and say, I'm not part of building a caliphate. And then, in fact, then it calls into question whether he really is a Christian, a Muslim. In any event, our stories were all over the Blaze today, and Glenn Beck, and many, many other places. So you're in the right place, folks, to be on the cutting edge of activism, trying to save America. That's all we're trying to do. We're fighting. We have two massive opponents. One is the monarchical terrorism of President Obama, and he's using his electoral strength through the peasants that have voted for him. He's combining that with ways to sidestep the legislative process to get what he wants to, and he's implementing the massive strength of the unions as the thugs, essentially, in implementing public policy. And this is all monarchical terrorism, particularly for those who love and want to protect the Constitution of the United States. But joining with him are the jihad terrorists. So we have this unholy alliance of the leftist, of the leftists, Mike, this isn't on, of the leftists and the jihadis. Well, yeah. And the jihadis joining together, that's who we fight. We're going to be fighting this evening a combination of those guys, and I think we're trying to get somebody on the air right now to show you exactly what we mean. The other day, Wednesday the 6th, it was Wednesday the 6th, we sent a couple of guys over to Florida Atlantic University, not too far from here. What does that mean? His hand signals are good. Well, he'll plug them in, and
We need sock puppets, I think.
What we're trying to do is get someone on the phone
Little
live,
minkies.
and you're going to hear exactly live a little confrontation with people that are trying to obstruct our right to be in a meeting tonight at Florida Atlantic University to videotape a Jew-hating individual by the name of Josh Rubner, a Jewish guy, who is a pro-Palestinian former official member of the United States government. And we tried on Wednesday, a couple of days ago, last week, 6 days ago, to go in and see Greta Berlin. Greta Berlin is one of the founders or co-founders of the Free Gaza movement. And she was involved in the flotilla, May 2010, that left Turkey. And they were just going to drive 9 ships up on the shore in Gaza and unload them. I mean, why not? Come on, bring Turkish ships into Fort Lauderdale and land on the beach. No big deal. You know that story. The Israelis intercepted them and just were going to drive them into some of the Israeli ports and let their equipment go into Gaza. But the commandos with really no weapons were fast roped down, got attacked. Fights broke out, and the Israelis had to kill, I think, 9 or 10 people. It was a big international incident. This woman that was speaking at Florida Atlantic University a couple of days ago, which is a substantial school here in Boca Raton, we wanted to go in and set up a video camera and videotape so there'd be no errors as to what she said. We were blocked. There's a video going around of a police officer blocking me from going in. Well, we're possibly going to file a lawsuit against Florida Atlantic University since last Wednesday. And Mark right now is trying to get the school on the phone, and we're going to let you listen live into one of my conversations with this school, Florida Atlantic University. Since last Wednesday, I've been trying to get some sort of clarification on their videotaping policy. They've given me 17 different policies, and it's one of these things. Friend of mine, CJ. Well, let me introduce CJ and Alan. Are you guys? You're not in the shot, I don't think. But say hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Happy
what are you doing here?
Tuesday.
I'm at this point just a listener,
Okay.
but I thank you very much for having me on.
You're going to be a participant in a little bit. CJ.
He's going to be our victim in the 4 and 5 o'clock hours.
Yes. That's right. CJ and Alan Bergstein, and for those of you who follow the show, Alan's a good friend, been here many times. Mark and I are going to be leaving after the first hour. We're going over to FAU to go into a room and set up a camera. And because if they can't answer the questions I've now posed to 6 or 7 departments at the school, including the legal department, if they can't answer it, they can't tell me that there isn't a prohibition, then I'm taking that as then you're allowed to go in and set your cameras up, because no one has had the decency or courage, it's really courage, to give me the school policy, because there is no school policy that says you can't film. What's the deal?
Nobody's available. You can't even get a hold of anybody.
Well, Megan was the receptionist. I wanted to speak to her.
Megan's not even available. I don't know, they said they were celebrating Martin Luther King in the office, so I don't know. Today is
Lincoln's birthday. Does that have anything to do with it?
Maybe that's
No,
it.
it's
wait a
not
minute.
President's Day today.
Wait a minute.
Well,
What?
there's nobody available. All I got was phone messages from all over.
Oh, you're kidding me.
So
Could you call security? Remember the building manager is the guy who controlled the Boca police officer?
Try calling the.
I called. There's nobody answering the phone anywhere.
Well, no, the main
Switchboard?
the main number. Yeah, the main number. That's not the main number. That is the media center. Here, let me get on the record what's going on. We have been trying to get a clarification on the 17 different policies we were told that guide videotaping in a public facility on the campus in a public meeting, and everyone kept pointing to another department. So they all said media. So I've been working with the media department for 2 or 3 days now, and they kept giving messages to Lisa Metcalf. The receptionist is Megan. She would give, I left a voicemail yesterday, no response. I talked to Megan this morning.
Megan's the head of media relations over there.
Well, she's not the head. Megan is
Was
the
one-
receptionist.
No. Lisa
yeah.
is the head of media.
But did Megan answer the phone?
No.
Okay, here's what happened.
Gee, do you think if Diane Sawyer called the office, they would take her call?
No, this is very funny. They're probably watching, too. Yeah. Hi, Megan. We haven't met, but I'm sure we will. Hi, Lisa Metcalf. I spoke to Megan this morning, and they were open this morning.
Oh, they were? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I said...
Well, maybe they're at the lunch.
I said, yeah. I said, it's a late lunch. I said, Megan, this is, several times I've called. Okay. And I said, she goes, well, why don't I just take your number and I'll call her directly and I will have her respond to you. I said, okay, let's do this. Well, first of all, do you have any idea what the policy is? I better not say. She goes, you know what? I better not say because I want to make sure we're all on the same page around here. I said,
all the lawyers and everybody are on the same page.
I said, okay. I said, but let me tell you something. I said, I host a talk show. I'm going on the air at 3 o'clock. If I don't hear back from you guys by 3 o'clock, I'm calling you at 3 o'clock. And we're going to be on the air. We're going to have this conversation on the air. Isn't it great having a radio show?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We're going to have this conversation on the air. This is called a sunshine. Sunshine. Airshine. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I make a suggestion?
sure, yeah. Alan Bergstein, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
If I recall correctly, on your videotape, there was a Boca Raton police officer, Littleton.
Yeah.
Could you call the police department and find out what orders they have?
Campus security.
Was he campus security?
Yes.
I thought
Campus
he was
police, not
campus,
security.
Campus police, right. That's
I thought he was Boca Police
I
Department.
think they're hooked up with the Boca Department. They don't just float around by themselves.
Yeah.
That's Boca Raton jurisdiction. So we got to get a clarification on that.
Do you have a lawyer's clarification?
No, they wouldn't talk to me. I tried. I talked to the Glick. His name Glick. I have it I kept a log of all of this. We've been to this rodeo once or twice. I have a log of everyone I spoke to, everything. The school attorney completely blew me off. I know who you are. I'm not talking to you. I said, well, just easy, cowboy. We want a clarification on a policy. We don't do that. Well, who can give us a clarification on a policy to put a video camera in a publicly advertised event on a public campus? Buildings. Yeah, I go to buildings. The guy that ran away.
Buildings. So buildings determines the video
That's
policy.
what the lawyer of the school, the attorney for the school told me.
So there's not a video policy for the school.
I went to buildings. And buildings, that guy would not talk to me, the general manager there, the manager of buildings.
Right.
He's on the video running away. Literally running away. We're chasing him. And he texted Corporal Littleton, and Mark puts a little arrow. The guy puts his head around it. That was pretty good. So I go call buildings and, run around with them. And they say, it's not us, it's media. Media relations determines the policy for setting up cameras in rooms. And I've been camped at that's the update. And nobody's home. And
media says, well, I don't know about the policy or that, but so they're giving you the runaround, and they know what the policy
is.
Let's discuss. They just don't want to admit to it.
888-565-1470. 888-565-1470. Do you think out there, and do you guys think that Mark and I are leaving here at 4 o'clock? You're taking over, CJ.
Oh boy.
You're gonna fly this Hindenburg.
This Hindenburg?
Yeah, you're going to fly this Hindenburg. Do you guys think here that their actions indicate that there is not a policy prohibiting us from going in?
Absolutely. And furthermore, they're trying to give cover to the odious people who are taking over the room to begin with. They're siding.
They're siding with the bad guys.
They're siding with the bad guys. That's exactly what they're doing.
We're on tape where they stopped us. Now, if they say, no, there is no policy to stop you from going in, then what happens to what they did the other day? They implicate themselves in a possible lawsuit infringing our right to be there.
Well, what they could say is that the person who prohibited you from going in didn't know that the policy was that he couldn't prohibit you from going in, and we apologize for the mistake.
Yeah, it'd be nice if that's the way it worked. It isn't. So, if if
the person actually prohibited you from coming in, yes, but when a uniformed police officer stops you from coming in, completely different story.
After 40 different times we questioned him, saying, "You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong." No, this is the policy, and they've told me this, and this is what I have to maintain. And
well, it was very interesting that that for correction and verification of the policy, he didn't recommend that you contact the police chief, his boss. He recommended that you talk to the building manager or somebody
who just ran off.
Who just ran away.
He just ran away.
So apparently the police at FAU don't take their orders from the police. They take their orders from the organizers of anti-Israel hate fests.
Yeah.
And I think we have to put on the record here, folks, that you're with Tom Trento, CJ, Alan Bergstein, Mark, Mike, all at TrentoVision today on the 12th. Why do I keep saying the 13th? 12th of February. That's my lucky number. On the 12th, and we're discussing several items, one of which was the groundbreaking story that we did last Friday that's still ascending in terms of the impact in the United States about John Brennan converting to Islam as a result of an influence operation by the Saudis. No, that's not a bad script for a Hollywood movie. That was the testimony of John Guandolo, former FBI agent. And the second item we're working on today is that the students on this campus and others decided to have Israel Awareness Week during this second week of February 2013. And ironically, Israeli Apartheid Week, which was going to be at a later date, decided to move their Jew hate fest back to coincide with Israel Awareness Week. So now this evening we have dueling events at the school. There's at the same exact time, there's an event taking place of Israel Awareness Week. Do you know what the details of that are?
Yeah.
What is that?
You have some activist students on campus, Jewish and Christian students on campus, who are holding Israel Awareness Month, what have you. They were given, I think, February, and of course the Muslims encroached on that. However, there's a weakness among them because you have Hillel coordinating the pro-Israel events, and they basically have kowtowed down to the Muslims and to the establishment at FAU so many times that they are basically weaklings. And the Muslims had an agreement that, listen, we'll have March, you have February, but of course they broke that agreement. But can I retract a couple of steps? When you and Mark go in tonight with your cameras, I suggest you have the camera rolling before you even get to the door because they're prepared for you.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, their silence and their non-response to you
well,
indicates...
I don't know why, because we're only broadcasting 50,000 watts over their airway. I don't know why they would understand we're coming.
I think perhaps that you will be blocked not at the door to the room where the event is taking place. You're going to be blocked at the entrance to the university because they are planning something, not speaking with you, and they're going to try somehow to control you. Be prepared outside because I've been involved with outside the building, of course.
Oh,
before.
you've been stopped.
And this time, I think you will just not just one corporal. You're going to have a mass of Boca Raton cops from Boca Raton FAU police with you. So be very well prepared and have your lawyer's number ready. I'm very serious.
Peter Feynman, where are you, Peter Feynman? Mark, break out the full black burkas. Don't touch us. Don't touch us. You make a very, very good point that their silence, particularly when I told them we're going to call, again,
how do you not? How does a whole department not answer the telephone during business hours at a university? I mean, that's just absolutely insane.
And she even gave her personal cell phone number. She wouldn't answer that.
That's chutzpah, and they are absolutely stonewalling you, and they're getting deeper into this because every move they make is a mistake. And tonight, be prepared for a major mistake. I suggest you have another witness with you, just rather than two of you.
We have three more witnesses.
Don't tell who they are.
No, we have people there that nobody knows about. That look, like I said to the folks, and we're revealing this stuff publicly because it may be true, it may not be true. Right? Who knows?
How about the news media?
But maybe we wouldn't even go tonight. Who knows? Right?
Maybe we're just throwing them a fake here.
Yeah, who knows? But if we are going to do what we say we're going to do, we probably thought through what we think they're going to do, and then we know what we're going to do, and we thought how they're going to respond to that. And we're 2 or 3 steps ahead of them, and the way you do that is by following the law. If somebody violates the law, it's easy to penetrate their system. If you follow the law, eventually, if you have enough money to fight the case, you'll win the case. So that's where we are going with this thing. And you know, apart from the fact that we make jihad fun and we make this with these goofy people a little bit of interesting fun. This was, remember we were going to do a reality show? We're doing a reality show.
Yep.
This is very, very important because somebody's got to break down these phony baloney barriers that keep cameras out of rooms when people are saying stuff that hurts other people, minorities, in particular Jewish people.
Okay, let me ask you this, because it's 3:30 and we're 1470 a.m.
Oh,
and
you're doing your radio shtick.
No,
Go for it.
no.
Go for it.
But before you go, if you're going, do you think we could talk a little bit about what this event is tonight, in case people want to attend it themselves?
Yes, that
and
would be a good
also,
idea.
since you know the speaker from a previous event in Orlando, maybe you can
Tell
us a little bit about it.
Alan's the one who has the most information.
And
on
we
this
have
stuff.
the video of it, don't we?
That's right. Alan's the one who's
Okay, so
most
maybe we
in-depth on that
could
one.
put all that together before you go.
No, the
if
video
you're
you'll have to
going.
do later because it's pretty long. You play pieces of it, and Alan will go through it. Is Alan with us?
No,
No,
not
not yet.
but he will be soon.
Mark is here, though.
Yeah.
Let me read it, and then you can pick it up. I have it right here. Here's what's going on tonight. Why I'm reading now. At 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 3 hours, there is a teach-in. That's what it's called. Can anybody define a teach-in?
Is that like a love fest?
Love Fest.
I guess I don't know what a teach-in is. Probably something to do with teaching. But for 3 hours this evening on the campus of Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, it's going to be a 3-hour teach-in, advertised publicly all over the place, Facebook, everything else. Here's the title. Why has the United States failed to achieve Israeli-Palestinian peace? A teach-in on the U.S.-Israeli relationship with Josh Rubner, R-U-E-B-N-E-R. And I'll give you a little background on Josh. Then, Mark, you tell us your little run-in with Josh. Students for Justice in Palestine. Where is Palestine, by the way?
There is no Palestine. It's called Israel.
Oh, Students for Justice in Israel. Students for Injustice, whatever, at Florida Atlantic University is honored to present Josh Rubner, National Advocacy Director at the U.S. campaign to end the Israeli occupation. So I wonder how that teach-in is going to go. Josh is a former analyst in Middle Eastern affairs at the Congressional Research Service, a federal government agency providing members of Congress with policy analysis. Okay, anybody see a problem here? A former U.S. government official. He holds a graduate degree in international affairs at Johns Hopkins, very good school. Rubner's analysis and commentary on U.S. policy toward the Middle East appears frequently on ABC, Nightline, all the different things.
Yeah, I think you're skipping Al Jazeera and the Detroit Free Press, probably where he's most prominently published.
Josh will conduct a teach-in on the exceptional yet destructive U.S.-Israeli relationship. In particular, he will expose the role of the AIPAC and the greater Zionist lobby in disproportionately influencing U.S. policy in the Middle East. He will explain how these groups actively steer U.S. policy in a pro-Israel direction, and doing so create profound damage to America's national interests. Why don't you bring on Alan?
Okay. We have Alan Kornman calling in from Orlando on the line.
Tom, CJ, Mark,
Hi.
Alan, how are you all today? And thank you
Doing
for having
good,
me
doing
on.
good.
It's great to be here.
Oh, we're so happy that you could call in today. Alan is a member of the United West and a contributing editor to Family Security Matters. And we've all been working together for years, and he's an excellent videographer and writer, and he knows a lot of stuff.
Yes, he does. And he and Mark Campbell confronted Josh Rubin. How long ago, Mark?
How long ago was it, Alan? About a year ago, or less than a?
Yeah, it was about a year ago at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida.
Yep.
Josh Rubner was speaking on his favorite subject, Israel, and how much he hates Israel through the U.S. campaign to end the occupation. And Mark and I were there filming, and Mark asked...
whoa. Filming? Did you say filming?
Yes, we were filming. And also,
at a private college.
Rollins is actually a private college. It's not a public college.
How'd you do that?
We
walked in?
and then asked and set up the cameras.
Okay, so you were filming at Rollins College, Josh Rubner. So he's been videotaped before by you.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead. Continue.
And so we filmed the event, and at one point he was talking mainly about a thing called BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And what this is boycotting Israel. Divestment means targeting corporations that are complicit in the violation of Palestinian rights. That means basically telling the United States government or any institution to no longer invest in Israel because they are bad. They are bigots. They are every vile epithet under the sun that they can think of. And sanctions are the essential part of demonstrating disapproval for a country's actions from a political angle. And if you can have economic sanctions against a country, then you can have a profound impact on their ability to survive economically and hurt them economically, where you may not be able to hurt them militarily.
So when he's advocating to end the occupation of he wants to end the occupation of Israel, does that mean that what does that mean? That because it's occupied by Jews, or what?
Well, in some weird world where, in some strange planet rotation that this end the occupation movement has created itself, it's more a thinly veiled anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish organization. Because if you go back to 1948, when Israel was given statehood, Israel was attacked by all her neighbors. Israel, to the disappointment of all of their Arab neighbors, survived and won and gained land. In 1967, they tried to destroy her again. The Arabs lost again in a humiliating but very close defeat. They tried again in 1973. So Josh Rubner and his group in the occupation believe that when Israel gave the Palestinians Gaza, which is right next to the Egyptian border, and the West Bank, where President Clinton, where President Obama is going in March, Israel gave those lands back to the Palestinians in a gesture of peace that was reciprocated with over 10,000 rockets. They call these two pieces of real estate occupied lands, when in fact Israel gave them the land in the first place because nobody wanted them.
All right, so
I don't think it's so thinly veiled anyway. When they talk about the greater Zionist lobby, I think we all kind of know what that means.
And they're going after AIPAC too.
Yeah, and they're going after AIPAC in particular, and it sounds a lot like Chuck Hagel to me. I don't know.
Who was put on hold? The committee vote for him was put on hold. I don't know why. Well, all the deficiencies in his record, and he missed a couple of speeches giving to the committee. But Hagel's on hold. Brennan is Thursday. We are in the middle of some significant national issues, and the Death of the Union speech is going to be this evening. Yeah. Let's do this because we're quickly running out of time, and we want to show you guys something. Alan, you're going to hang around, right, for the show?
Yes.
Yeah, because I want to hear about what happened with your encounter with Rubner.
And there's
at Rollins College,
the Nazi stuff too.
The Nazi stuff, yeah.
And look, folks, you know the United West, TrentoVision, all of us. We are hardcore First Amendment proponents. He has a right to say whatever he wants to, but we also have a right to show what he says to the world, not just to 25 people in a little tiny room. So it's a battle of the rights. And then, but what typically happens is these folks don't like that we shoot their speeches, and then we send them out, and they say, "Oh, you edit it in a crazy way. Go get your own cameras and come into where we speak." And they do that when we have public events. They bring their cameras in.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
And you can make any kind of video you want. but you're too dopey, most of you people. Anyway, all right, Alan, you hang on because we're going to go through. When we leave here, we're going to stay in touch.
Is Mark calling back?
You're going to try to call. Try to call Megan. When we leave here, Mark and I'm going to call in every 10 minutes or so to give you guys updates. We have Alan Bergstein in here too. Do you want to say something?
Can I say something?
Sure, yeah. Of course.
I think tonight, if you interview some Caucasian people who are going in, they're not Muslim students, you might try to find out if J Street or MoveOn.org has gotten their people to come to this meeting tonight, because J Street and MoveOn.org are both totally supportive of the Palestinian complaints. So they may very well be in there, and I'd like to find out if they are helpfully coordinating this event.
Okay, we will do that, J Street. And right now, we're going to shift gears a little bit because there's a very interesting story that's going to run an interview this evening on Diane Sawyer. She is going to, I don't know what time that show is on. I think probably 8 or 9 o'clock. But it's ironic that it's on the same night as the State of the Union address. And she is interviewing the woman, Kimberly Munley. Kimberly, M-U-N-L-E-Y. She was the small...
Director of Media Relations at Florida Atlantic University. I can't get to the phone right now, so please leave me a message and I'll call you back as soon as I can.
Come on, Megan, you can answer.
Working on deadline,
Lisa.
but this is an emergency.
Oh, that was Lisa?
Please try me in my office at 561-297-3022.
That didn't work?
Or call the Department of Media Relations main line at 561-297.
This is all we get all the time.
Yeah.
This is all we get.
And have a great day.
We're going to keep calling you.
Tone.
Oh.
Please record your message.
Maybe we'll...
When you have
yeah.
finished recording,
Here.
you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Lisa. It's Tom Trento. How are you? Trying to get in touch with you. You're a audio star right now on TrentoVision. And, you know, it's really not professional for you over 2 days not to respond to something very significant. I left a lot of information about who we are, what we're doing, the clarification we'd like on the policy regarding videotaping, and we've been given the runaround by the school attorney, by buildings, and now everybody's pointing to you, Lisa Metcalf, as the one who has the answer. You can call the number I left a number, and if not, maybe we'll see you this evening. Take care. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, got a couple. Oh, I like this mic. Hey, what's going on? I can start singing. If I knew how to sing, I would sing with this mic. I don't sing well. But Kimberly Munley was the small police officer on the base at Fort Hood who responded to the Fort Hood shootings in November 6th, I think it was, 2009.
Okay. I just called that number, and they're not
same
answering that phone either. But there is a recording that tells you that they'll be closed on Monday the 21st for Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, okay, good. It's nice to know.
Yeah. But we're not here today either.
Yeah. But we were this morning, and
we were until you started calling.
Until you started calling, Tom.
Could they all be dead? I mean, could you walk in there with bodies lying all over the floor?
The zombies got them.
Maybe the zombie alert got
yeah,
them or
the zombie
something.
alert. No, no. What it is they got caught in a conundrum. It's a legal conundrum they're in, and they're trying to figure out how the hell do we get out of this. But the bottom line is, we want to show you this before Mark and I have to leave and go visit the campus. Kimberly Munley was the heroic police officer who responded to the Fort Hood shooting November 2009, where Major Nidal Hassan stood up, yelled what? What did he yell?
Allah Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is greatest. God is greatest. What time? 12:35 a.m.?
Yeah, it's Nightline.
Oh, okay.
So they're having their State of the Union coverage, and then she'll be on.
Oh, cool. 12:35 a.m.
Thank you,
tomorrow
Joe.
morning. Tomorrow morning, this story will run, and it really is a news-breaking story. Kimberly Munley and others, the other victims who got shot at Fort Hood by Major Nidal Hassan, have gathered together and formed a coalition and stated. Well, let's let them hear what they stated. We're going to play a short video clip. There's going to be a lot of chaos. They're showing the scene right after the people were shot. It's a little graphic, but listen carefully to the narrative, and I'll read. Mike, you're going to have to read because you have it real time. Read when the copy comes up.
Oh,
Copy's going to come up in a second.
I saw my blood.
It's already on.
I saw where I was laying on the floor. I saw my co-workers they were working on other patients. My co-workers, the females, use their bras to make tourniquets. As a team, we came together and we tried to diminish the brunt of what happened that day.
Many of the victims of the shooting are upset.
I've been deployed twice. I mean, I've been in combat twice. I mean, here was a guy that showed up ready to kill us to prevent us from deploying overseas. I mean, that was his sole mission. He didn't do it because he was mad that day or had a bad day or there was a misunderstanding. I mean, he came there trained up for it to kill us.
We've asked for the incident to be reclassified from workplace violence, of all things, to what it was, which was a terroristic attack. And we've been denied several times. So we've come together as a group and decided to start taking action for what we think we deserve.
It's not workplace violence. It is a terrorist act. This man was following orders from Anwar al-Awlaki. He was performing his jihad.
Oh my gosh, he actually said jihad.
Okay, and Kimberly Munley tonight will tell Diane Sawyer that this group of victims who were shot at Fort Hood were betrayed by President Obama. And those are the key words, betrayed by President Obama. And the story is how these people feel President Obama betrayed the victims of Major Nidal Hassan.
Well, I got a question for those people out there who are stuck on stupid. Do you really believe a guy who screams Allahu Akbar, who had a business card, Soldiers of Allah, who dressed in a long beard and came in there and screamed Allahu Akbar? How can you not see that this is a terrorist attack? I mean, are you that blind to Obama ideology that you cannot see what's happening? This is Diane Sawyer, too. I mean, this is not Tom Trento or somebody else. This is Diane Sawyer. Yeah. Diane Sawyer, and she's pretty liberal.
Well, tomorrow we're going to tape the show tonight. We're going to watch it, and we're going to get into this because tomorrow in studio, as a surprise for our audience, tomorrow in studio we will have Frank Gaffney from Washington, D.C. Center for Security Policy. He will be here. And we will be Skyping in Diana West, the brilliant author, writer, and expert. She has become an expert on the Benghazi situation. So Frank Gaffney, the head of Center for Security Policy, will be in studio. Diana will be Skyped in. And then Mordecai Kadar, who is, Mordecai Kadar? Mordecai Kadar is... Jewish national security analyst, scholar, academic, and the author behind the I think it's called the Samson Plan or the Samson Alternative, and he was an advisor to Netanyahu. Have you heard of the Samson?
Yeah.
Which is if we're going down,
that's last guess.
Yeah, if we're going down, everybody's going down. When Samson pulled the columns down on top of himself. Well, he will be calling in. He may be Skyping in if he has access to a computer. Otherwise, he'll be calling in. We got three heavyweights. We're going to discuss the Major Nidal Hassan event, the betrayal, as stated by these folks, Obama to the survivors, and we're going to do an analysis of Brennan before the vote on Thursday. Big day tomorrow. But let me see what else I have here. The Blaze, Okay. What do you want to do, guys? We're taking off in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Or are we?
Or are we? Yeah. Or are
I
we?
think people will know a few minutes after 4, one way or the other.
Is it Memorex
Is it live or is it Memorex?
Yeah.
Or are we already there? I just don't know.
Can I throw something in, Tom? Can I throw something in here?
Yes.
This incident at FAU is no longer just local; it's national.
Yeah.
It's beyond belief that the City Council of Boca Raton, Florida, has not spoken up. Not to say that the Muslims should not have their meeting, but to condemn them for the hate-filled products coming out of that meeting, and for you to be denied admission into that university. They should say, listen, we give them every right to speak out, but we condemn the hate and the vilification that comes from them. Why aren't our public events? Where is Ted Deutsch?
Right.
Where is the current
Lois Frankel?
Where is Lois Frankel on this? Shouldn't she be there? She's local. This is part of her province, we call it. Why are they silent? Why are they ignoring this?
No, very, very good points. Alan Kornman, you're with us, right?
I am here, Tom.
You've done many, many of these types of operations where you've gone in with a camera and videotaped. And what advice do you have for Mark and I?
Oh, well, this is like the student giving
Mark and me.
Mark
and me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
When you go in, we've all done this many times. You're going to a public event at a public university, and it is open to the public, so they're inviting you in. You are part of the public. You are also part of the press, and you are there just to observe and document the event. Now, freedom of speech should allow you the opportunity to do that once you open up a public university or an open to the public event, but as we've seen, that doesn't always work out as planned.
Yeah.
And here is, right there, part of the press, here is my you got yours? Where's yours?
Yeah, I got mine in the bag.
Here's a press pass, and this one happens to be from, and for the sake of the audience, the listeners and viewers, when you have press credentials, often events like to give you their own specific ones for that event. And this one is pretty significant because, can you read what that says, Alan?
Oh, yeah, it says 2012, Lynn University debate. You were permitted in, Tom Trento, WN 1470 Media. If you were permitted in...
To what debate was that?
That was the presidential
debate. The presidential debate.
If you were there...
We had to be cleared by the Secret Service. We had to be cleared by everybody.
Yeah, and you had to change radio frequencies. You had to
you had
to send in your passports, and you had to validate all.
This is the granddaddy of press passes.
Yeah. It took like a month to get clearance.
To get these things. Yep.
Yeah.
So you're right. We're media, but we just want to go in as citizens first and then see what happens.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, are you going to go in with your cameras first? Yeah. And then if they tell you there's absolutely no video, are you going to leave your cameras outside the room and go in and say, okay, well, we'll just come in and listen then?
We don't know what we're going to do.
No, I'm just asking.
We don't
know.
We don't know. Do you will, because we will tell you as it's happening.
Do you know what happened at Brooklyn College? I just got an email today that I sent out. There was a student at Brooklyn College, a graduate student in psychology, who went to a Muslim event on campus, and he and his 3 buddies just had sheets of paper on their laps with talking points to ask the speakers about, to confront them with this Muslim thing. The papers were ordered out of their laps, and they were escorted physically out of the building at Brooklyn College, so that if they broke rules and regulations for our constitutional rights at Brooklyn College, they could very well do that for you, because no one complained at Brooklyn College. They absolutely hauled 4 people up physically out of the room for no reason whatsoever.
Absolutely unreal. And, well, wait a minute. I mean, you have to be allowed to take notes at a teach-in, right? It's a teach-in, right? Shouldn't I be taking notes?
If the notes are not in Arabic, you will not be permitted to do that.
Well, those are all good points and good questions, but what I'm doing right now, I'm going to tell our opponents who are listening, public, I have just sent myself and some of the others that are going to be there a link to the Facebook page of the event. Now, do you think it's public if it's advertised on Facebook? Do you think it's public if it's advertised on
Especially when it says
Facebook?
public at the top of the thing? Public event?
It says public event. Why has the United States failed to achieve public, right there, by Noor Fazi Ibrahim, Nadine Ale, and 3 others. Sago Palm Room, 5 o'clock, and it goes through the whole thing. 55 people are going, 55 maybes, 1,238 were invited. Make that 57 going, okay?
Yeah, 57. Somebody's lucky number.
So we're going to pull this up on our little smartphones and say, public event, tell us why you can't have a camera. So hurry up, call Lisa Metcalf and let her tell you why we can't be there.
And hurry up, change your Facebook post to non-public.
And let me tell you something, FAU.
Too bad.
If you have some bizarre rule that you think can be implemented at this point to block us from bringing a camera in, play it. Let's see where that goes. But if the rule is illegally applied, you're exacerbating the situation. And the alternative, I'm trying to, let me speak to Liz. What's her name, Lisa?
Lisa.
Let me speak to Lisa alone. Everybody, nobody's here. Just you and me, Lisa. What's the big deal if we come in? We come in, we put a camera, we set it up, we do a video. No big deal. All right, between us. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks. Okay, we got to go. Let's get out of here, Kenny, and you guys are taking over.
Yeah,
have a blast.
Alan K, take a break, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Be back in about 8 minutes. All right, somebody in there? Anybody listening? Anybody listening in there?
Good luck tonight, Tom.
Anybody alive in the control booth? Hello.
Hello.
We're going.
We're off.
Goodbye. Goodbye. We can't even give the.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
AM 1470 with even more information you can use. Are you suffering with chronic pain? Tune in for No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. You'll learn non-invasive techniques that can help you get rid of your pain without the use of harmful drugs or surgery. That's No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. Tuesday mornings at 11, right here on AM 1470 WNN, South Florida's Health and Wealth Network.
Listen live on your HD radio at 99.9 HD2. This is Health and Wealth Radio, WWNN.
I'll never forget that moment.
Never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
As long as I live.
It started with a phone call.
I got the text when I was at work.
My first call up ever as a member of the National Guard. This was it, the real deal.
When we got to the armory, they briefed us on the wildfires, how they were getting dangerously close to homes.
It was amazing to be a part of this massive operation. Helicopters were going up with huge buckets to drop water on the fires.
Some of the guys in the unit were preparing for firefighting with local fire crews.
We went out in Humvees to help with the evacuations.
At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com. Discover what it means to be a citizen soldier, to serve locally as well as globally. Look into the benefits, including career skills and money for college. Take a moment. Go to NationalGuard.com today.
Sponsored by the Florida National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
He worked out early, practiced late, and studied well into the night. The next day, he did it all over again.
She missed time hanging out and socializing with friends so she could make it on time to practices and games.
He became a top student and a confident leader, even as he helped his team win back-to-back conference titles.
She became a role model in her community, even as she led her team to an undefeated season.
And when they finished playing high school sports, what did they do next?
She graduated from college with honors and went to work for a successful company.
He attended graduate school and became a difference maker in his community.
Because that's what student athletes in Florida do. They use the skills they develop playing high school sports today
to do even bigger things in life tomorrow.
High school sports.
A winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
IRN USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar. As President Obama looks to pursue other second-term priorities, the economy is still the top concern of many Americans, and they'll be hearing Obama outline a plan for economic growth and job creation during tonight's State of the Union address. Senior advisor Valerie Jarrett says Obama remains committed to building from the middle out, not from the top down, and that the president is more confident now about being able to accomplish that. The debate over gun control has been playing out again today at a Senate subcommittee hearing where Democratic Senator Richard Durbin said the toll that gun violence is taking on families makes it clear that Congress needs to pass more restrictions. He said current laws have too many gaps in them, but the panel's top Republican, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, said the focus of law enforcement should be on criminals.
Stripping the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens does nothing to prevent criminals from carrying out violent crime.
This is IRN USA Radio News.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. Holding my baby as he struggled for every breath, not knowing whether he'd have the strength to make it. When they rushed him into ICU, I was so scared. But I never felt alone. The Lord's presence was there with me. And the MediShare members were amazing. They took care of the doctor bills, they prayed, and they gave me peace when I needed it most. My son is doing great, praise God. How blessed we are to have the support of the MediShare community, really reflecting the love of Christ.
Learn how thousands of Christians can help you save on your health care. For your free information guide, call 866-89-BIBLE. Not available in Kentucky or Montana. MediShare, affordable biblical health care. Call 866-89-BIBLE. That's 866-89-BIBLE.
As the discussion continues over whether or not to confirm Chuck Hagel as the next Secretary of Defense, Fox News has confirmed that Hagel omitted two recent speeches on the Arab-Israeli conflict from records turned over to the Senate Armed Services Committee. Our correspondent Jordan Hooker has more.
Hagel was required to provide any so-called formal speeches he gave since January 2008. An Obama administration official has contended that the speeches were not formal. Fox News is reporting that one speech was before the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee and the other was before Georgetown University's Center for Contemporary Arab Studies. The content of both speeches has not surfaced.
Here are two words you don't often hear together in Washington: budget surplus. The Treasury Department says the federal government reported a rare surplus for January, and it's on track to run its smallest annual budget deficit since President Barack Obama took office. January's surplus of $2.9 billion was achieved with the help of an estimated $9 billion in extra revenue from higher Social Security taxes. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
Valentine's Day is this week, and ProFlowers is offering an amazing last-minute deal. 1 dozen gorgeous red roses, plus a free glass vase, a free teddy bear, and a free box of chocolates for just $39.99. But hurry, because it could be nearly impossible to find roses on Valentine's Day. And this incredible last-minute deal expires Wednesday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code ROSE14. That's secret code ROSE14.
A judge has ordered 2 gang members held without bail in the death of a 15-year-old Chicago honor student. The 2 were charged with first-degree murder in the death of Hadia Pendleton. The girl was shot dead just days after she performed at events for President Barack Obama's inauguration. An Ohio school board is set to decide tonight how it will respond to a federal lawsuit seeking removal of a portrait of Jesus that hangs prominently in its middle school. Opponents say the large portrait unconstitutionally promotes religion. They filed a lawsuit last week on behalf of an unidentified student and 2 parents. The district says the portrait was donated by a student group and has been in the school since about 1947. Since 2009 and the start of President Obama's reign, food stamp rolls have risen to 47 million people in America. Our correspondent Sean Scott Ferguson brings us more.
This startling number exceeds the population of Spain. SNAP is the nifty name the Obama administration gave to the program, which stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. In January 2009, when Obama entered office, there were nearly 32 million Americans on SNAP. But the latest number from November 2012 indicates nearly 48 million Americans on the food stamp program, a 49% increase. SNAP, which is being used and abused by some, added about 11,000 new clients a day between January 2009 and November 2012.
Activists in Syria report a second straight day of major strategic gains by rebels there. They say the rebels have captured a military base near Aleppo, Syria's largest city, and that they've stormed another base that protects the city's international airport. With IRN, you.
America's Radio News.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN TrentoVision show. Due to the unparalleled success of the TrentoVision show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the TrentoVision show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@TrentoVision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to TrentoVision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. TrentoVision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@TrentoVision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Hi there. I am not Tom Trento. This is CJ, substituting for Tom Trento.
You don't look anything like him, believe me.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
The nose appreciates it. Tom and J. Mark are on a not-so-secret mission to head over, possibly, to the FAU campus, where they're having an anti-Israel Love Fest teach-in tonight. And we will be hearing from them shortly.
We hope.
We hope, yes. I think it's very cute. Mark asked me on his way out if I had bail money for them. Because with me today in the studio at 4:06 p.m. here on 1470 a.m. is our very good friend and local activist, Alan Bergstein.
Well,
say hi, Alan. And
listen, I appreciate being on with you guys. You guys are doing such a hell of a job trying to educate the people as to the problems we are facing with a government that is very, very quickly launching into a total dictatorship.
Well, we are absolutely going to discuss that, the death of the Union speech tonight. But in the last hour, you did caution Tom and Mark that they would possibly be prevented from entering the campus. Now, do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, neither is Tom or you. However, when you look at reality, you see that these people absolutely run ramshot over the Constitution. Here you have a public institution, a meeting that was advertised to the public, no holds barred, you can come in, people can come in, they didn't say what kind of dress, they didn't say what kind of clothing,
right.
And they're going to walk in with their video equipment, and they are reporters, they are news reporters, they have a credible news TV station and a radio station.
They have credentials from the presidential debate here at Lynn University.
Well, if you pass that scrutiny, you pass every scrutiny.
Absolutely.
And it's my opinion that they're going to be confronted with the bulk of the police department at FAU, and I even suggested to Tom that when he gets there, there are going to be revolving lights, on the police cars to scare the hell out of him.
Right.
And they're going to try to prevent him from going in. But my question to you and the public is, what the hell is going on in that room that they want to dissuade the public from knowing about?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because with us on the phone, we have our friend from Orlando, Alan Kornman. And Alan actually heard Josh Rubner, who's going to be speaking at FAU tonight, speak at Rollins College and give this very same speech at Rollins College, and had a confrontation with him. So we're going to be hearing from Alan, who's going to be telling us what happened at Rollins College and what we can expect to happen at FAU tonight. Alan, are you there? Alan K?
I am here.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, yeah, and I'd just like to add one thing to what Alan had said earlier, Alan B.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
That, when we go into these events, because Tom had mentioned that a little bit, that we're going to be they're going to be going over to this anti-Jewish, anti-Israeli event over at Florida Atlantic University. And one thing that must be made perfectly clear is that our actions when we do this type of activity, we do not go in to disrupt. We are very, very respectful of the event. The only time that we speak is during the Q&A and through
Absolutely.
times. Right, and so we're not there. We're just there to document. And other groups on the other end of the liberal spectrum, when they come into events, 8 times out of 10, they're there to disrupt the event.
Exactly.
And be troublemakers. And that is a huge difference in how we operate versus how the other side operates.
Well, Alan, you know, when you talk about disruptions at events, you think of Code Pink.
Yeah.
Now, the founder of Code Pink...
They got kicked out of Brennan's hearings this week.
They got kicked out, but they were permitted in. I mean, they wore their clothing.
They had 5 chances of it took 5
but they were permitted
disruptions
in,
for them.
and
yeah.
they knew who they were.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't go into a congressional hearing like that without being vetted. And the founder of Code Pink, of course, is a very close friend of President Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So they were permitted in. Here you have 2 guys in Mark and Tom. All they want to do is videotape. That's all they want to do is videotape. And the odds are that they're going to be prohibited from going in. That's my feeling.
Well, listen to what's under discussion here. This is what the teach-in is about. Tom read a little bit from it in the last hour. This is from the invitation to the public for this teach-in event. Another interesting and very important topic of discussion involves AIPAC's role in influencing our universities, including minority student groups and student government officials. This is done in a clandestine effort to create a pro-Israel campus leadership base at the expense of the overall interests of the student body. Josh will offer some suggestions as to what we can do to prevent such unwanted external interventions in our universities. So I think that's a pretty loaded paragraph right there. Clandestine influence. If they think that somebody's trying to create a pro-Israel campus leadership base, first of all, what's wrong with that? And second of all, what are they trying to do?
Well, you have pro-gay leadership bases in universities, and they're welcome. You have pro-black, you have pro-Hispanic, you have pro-Islamic. No one is stopping the Islamic people from speaking out. However, we would like cameras to be permitted in all events, pro-Jewish events, pro-black events, and pro-Islamic events. Let the public hear what is being said behind these closed doors.
Well, this is, first of all, a public university. Now, if it were a private college, that would be a completely separate issue. You don't necessarily have a right to attend a lecture at a private college. But this is a public university holding a public event that has been advertised to the public, and I think that makes it different. And the phones are going crazy. We have Tom on the line.
Is it our Tom?
Yeah, it's our Tom. So he's calling in with the first update, and I didn't get any text messages yet from Mark telling me to talk louder into the microphone.
Can I just say something to people?
Yes.
They have to understand that the studio is only about an 8-minute drive from FAU. So he's just right around the corner from us, literally right around the corner from us.
Yeah, he's in the neighborhood. Okay, Tom on the line. Yep,
okay,
Tom, you there?
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Am I on?
You are on with with CJ and Alan and Invisible Mike.
Hi, well, we're not 8 minutes away. We're no minutes away. We haven't left the parking lot. We're taking the slow boat to China. But I did go on their Facebook page where they publicly advertise it on the 7th, which is 5 days ago. Noor Fazli Ibrahim, she's the head of the Students for Justice in Palestine. She wrote that there were 51 RSVPs. Please help continue to spread the word. We already have, listen to this, we already have 3 professors on board who are giving their students extra credit attending tonight.
Oh.
You know,
well, there's something to investigate.
Yeah, and she concludes, this event is going to rock. Go SJP. So 3 professors are in tune with this teaching. We got to find out who those professors are.
Well, you know what? I'm not part of AAUP, American Association of University Professors, but they may have the right to do this. But you also have the right to expose who these professors are and for what reason they give extra credit for listening to what basically, to us who were raised in this country, hate speech.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. We got to go, but I'll call in with little updates whenever we can.
Good luck.
Okay,
and
thank
God bless
you.
you, Tom. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Can I just remind people that the Students for Justice in Palestine is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's part of Hamas. It's part of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And they had an event at FAU last year where the Students for Justice in Palestine, they call themselves SJP, ran around the college posting posters, anti-Israel hate posters with lies on the doors of students. They violated...
It was eviction notices.
Yeah, they call themselves eviction.
Yeah.
But they were accompanied by an official of the university to protect them and to give credence to what they were doing.
That's right. And what they were doing was illegal.
Well, it was illegal because they violated the walls. You know, you're not supposed to post stuff on the wall. But I was part of a group that had a meeting with a dean or whatever you call him, a provost by the name of Brown, Dr. Brown, and he poo-pooed it. He said, things are
kids
quieted
will be
over.
Kids.
Things are quieted over. This is just an isolated incident, and we warned him at that time, and there were people there in the room, I warned him, that this is going to happen again. You're not going to stop these people. If you give them an inch, they'll take them out. He poo-pooed it, and he says, don't worry, everything is under control. Enough said.
Yeah, don't worry, everything is under control because the university obviously is siding with these people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens when he gets down there, and we just pray for his safety because the students probably have been notified. You know, we don't know what kind of relationships the college has with the students, SJP. So the students might very well confront him, and these are not necessarily just students. They are community activists, Muslim community activists, and I pray for their safety.
Well, you think they could come to physical harm?
Absolutely.
From these students?
Absolutely.
No.
I was threatened at Florida Atlantic University a couple of years ago.
Were you really?
Absolutely.
By kids?
Well, we don't know if they're kids. You know, you can't tell anymore. I mean, you can have graduate students who are 30 years old.
Right.
And then you can have Muslims, radical Muslims from the community who are 20 years old.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're students or not.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
I don't know. I think when they get in a pack, that's when they feel brave. But individually, I think they have no courage.
And I don't think that the university has any... The university by now should have thought in advance that there might be incidents at this event.
The university is a public institution supported by the taxpayers of the state of Florida and has an obligation to all the citizens and residents of the state of Florida.
And I wonder if the speaker himself is a citizen of the United States or if he just has a green card. Who knows what? Who knows about the students?
Well, let's get Alan.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get Alan in on this, and Alan can tell us a little bit about Josh Rubner and his encounter at Rollins College.
Well, Alan Bergstein, you bring up an excellent point because understanding who these people are, because Josh Rubner, let's face it, this guy is not very well known, but who he is a fascinating case in human psychology because to answer your question, Josh Rubner, he is a citizen of both the United States and where he was born in Israel, where his father is from. Now, in 1996, Rubner, while still in college, he witnessed a Palestinian suicide bomber blow up a bus in Jerusalem, killing 27 people and slightly injuring Rubner himself. Now, in reaction, isn't that incredible? Now, you would think that going through an experience like that you would be somewhat leery of the Palestinian suicide bomber, correct?
Unless he's a victim of the Stockholm Syndrome.
Well, it goes on. This is where it gets interesting because in reaction to that attack against the innocent Israelis, Josh Rubner, made a public call for, quote, more understanding by Israel of the Palestinian position, on the theory that such a course of action would help diminish the rage that spawned such acts of violence.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's a little window into the psychology of Josh Rubner. He is American. He also holds a dual citizenship in Israel. He was personally involved and injured in a suicide bus bombing that killed 27 innocent Israelis. And yet his response to that is that he believes that there should be more understanding by Israel of the Palestinian position. So he actually sided with the suicide bomber who nearly killed him.
Well, Alan Kay, do you know if Josh was sympathetic to the Palestinian cause before he witnessed this suicide bombing? Was he already leaning in that direction, or do you not know?
Well, let's see. No, I believe it doesn't say. It doesn't go into that. But he.
Was he? I mean, was he? Yeah, was he a young leftist and already anti-Zionist and anti-Israeli before this happened, and this just confirmed in his mind that something had to be done to appease them?
The biography doesn't go into that much depth. The key word that they use is in reaction to that terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
He took the opinion of we need to understand the Palestinian position so this type of violence will not happen again.
Isn't that very similar, Alan, to Adam Shapiro? Do I have his name right? Adam Shapiro, the radical who was part of the Free Gaza movement, and he was I believe he was with Rachel Corrie when she was run over by an Israeli bulldozer, and he married an Arab woman, Adam Shapiro.
Well, that could very well be, and for the listeners who may not know who Rachel Corrie is, Rachel Corrie she is a peace activist. She's American.
Was.
Yeah, was.
Yeah, was, and she there was a protest, and she would not move out of the way of an Israeli bulldozer that was bulldozing the house down of a terrorist.
Yeah.
And it was policy at that time that if an individual commits a terrorist act against Israel, their home is demolished by an Israeli Caterpillar bulldozer. Well, she did not get out of the way. She essentially martyred herself, and she's now taking the celestial dirt nap.
Well, she was a member of the International Solidarity Movement, which is not a peaceful organization by any means. I mean, it's a Marxist organization.
Let me throw something out to the audience. Rachel Corrie is now martyrized. She's a martyr to the radical Palestinians, but she's also a martyr to a group called the Rabbis for Human Rights. This is a radical leftist group that has merged with J Street and Americans for Peace Now. They're an Israeli group, Shalom Achshav, but there's an Americans for Peace Now. And there's a Rachel Corrie group within Rabbis for Human Rights, and they idolize her, and they've made her a martyr.
I don't think they're real rabbis.
Oh, yes, they are.
No. I'm saying for what we would consider real rabbis.
Well, they're ordained, and they just sent a letter signed by local rabbis to Benjamin Netanyahu,
right,
demanding that he make peace with the Palestinians and basically give in to what they say. And this is an activist group recognized by the Jewish Council for Public Affairs, which is the umbrella group for all Jewish organizations. Yeah. They have them every single year at their plenum, which is going to be held in March. And Rabbis for Human Rights, just remember that name and Google it and find out just who they are.
Any local rabbis from here signed on to that?
I can mention that.
You can't mention it?
I can mention that now because there's something that is going to pop up shortly. But they're all local. If you want, Google J Street.
Can I do
letter to Benjamin Netanyahu, and there are local rabbis who signed on. In fact, one of them is a rabbi from FAU. He's a Judaic Studies rabbi at FAU. He signed on to that letter.
I wonder if he's one of the professors giving extra credit to the people attending this event tonight.
Very well be. That letter went under the aegis of J Street, Americans for Peace Now, and Rabbis for Human Rights. But I
These
am
are
not
all
going
George
to mention.
Soros-funded groups, right?
Oh, yes. George Soros, yes.
Yeah.
Alan, what is J Street for our listeners who may not know what that is? J
Street was founded about just before Obama became president, founded by the Democrats to ward off AIPAC, American Israeli Public Affairs Council, to ward off the effects of AIPAC on Congress. AIPAC is sort of the educators of Congress relative to Israeli functions. And J Street was organized by George Soros to indoctrinate the Congress people to the pro-Palestinian viewpoint. So J Street is run by a guy by the name of Jeremy Ben-Ami, who years ago said there is no relationship between George Soros and this organization, none whatsoever.
Right.
And then just 2 years ago he came out and said, you know what, I lied.
Yeah.
He gave us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So J Street
Now that's very interesting because J Street, as you said, is a very liberal pro-Palestinian Israelis.
Mm-hmm.
The AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, is the largest Jewish lobbying group in D.C. And that is who Josh Rubner is going to be discussing tonight.
Exactly.
They want to cut the throats of AIPAC.
I would say about AIPAC is that it's not, the focus is American-Israeli relations, but there are a lot of members and supporters of AIPAC who are not Jewish. They are actually Christian Zionists.
And they're rather weak. AIPAC is rather weak. They don't speak out.
AIPAC is very moderate, middle of the road.
Non-confrontational.
Non-confrontational. Their goal, and they'll tell you that their goal is to work with everybody on the question of Israel, period. So they're not taking sides, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Communist, motorcycle riders, Tea Partiers. They don't care. If you're an elected official, then they will talk to you. So they are pro-incumbent. So that's why you're not going to see them involved in local political races, where even if it's a candidate that individual AIPAC members may support, they won't come out and publicly support a candidate who is running against an incumbent.
But let me tell you something. J Street supported and endorsed 71 candidates for the election in the last election. Do you know how many of them were elected? 70.
J Street is an avowed left-wing anti-Israeli powerhouse group.
And you have a rabbi here,
unlimited funding.
Bruce Washer, my buddy Brucey Washer.
Yeah.
He is a heavy hitter with J Street, and he writes for the Jewish Journal.
Yeah.
And he's never condemned by the local Jewish community.
No, because he uses the title rabbi before everything that he writes.
Total, complete
and
nonsense.
People are, if you're Jewish and if you're Christian, you're raised to respect the honorific and not to question it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I do want to get back to this issue of Josh Rubner and talk a little bit about what happened at Rollins College. I mean, when you confronted him at Rollins College, when you witnessed him at Rollins College, was he going after AIPAC at that time, or what was the subject of his talk?
It was this is Alan Corman again. This was at Rollins College. Using the word confronting.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't confront. We just took our cameras and to witness the event,
Mm-hmm.
and we asked some questions during the Q&A. It was not anything confrontational at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how we operate. But Josh Rubner last year, he was more involved with the BDS part of, rather than going after AIPAC per se.
Mm-hmm.
That's the boycott, divestment, and
sanctions.
And sanctions
Mm-hmm.
we discussed earlier. Now, what made Josh Rubner so interesting? Not only the fact that he is a victim of a terrorist attack himself,
Mm-hmm.
but he made a comment during his speech where he compared Israel to the Nazis. And how he made that comparison is that he said that there was a newspaper, Haaretz, that published an article that stated that the Israeli Defense Forces, that's the Israeli army, were studying the Nazi tactics of Warsaw during the Warsaw Ghetto by the Germans, and that the Israelis were employing those Nazi tactics and using those tactics against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, which was absolutely an incredible statement in and of itself. Well, Mark, on the show,
Mm-hmm.
Mark said, "Now, are you comparing the Israelis to the Nazis?" And that's when Josh Rubner, he went off the rails. He went, he lost his cool.
Mm-hmm.
He became highly emotional,
Mm-hmm.
highly agitated. And he started, the veins in his neck were bulging. His face was turning red. The elevation of his speech became more like this. And he was pointing at the crowd. And he was saying, yes, Israel was following the tactics of the Nazis. And Israel, of all people, should know, after living through the horrors of the Holocaust, should be the last people on earth to follow those tactics. But they did. And he doubled down on making that comparison between the Israelis and the Nazis.
Oh,
and he did it in the manner that I just spoke,
right,
to illustrate the guy became unhinged. And this video came out.
That is so typical of the left, isn't it?
Yeah. And he saw this video. In fact, I even called him.
Do we
up
have this video,
afterwards
Mike?
To try and interview
No.
him. And I think this may be part of the reason why he does not want video cameras, especially by our group, at his event here at Florida Atlantic.
No, because he only wants to hear from people who are on his side.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so during this Josh Rubner event at Rollins,
Mm-hmm.
he cited an article in referring to it by Amir Oren, who published this article in Haaretz.
And Haaretz, for the viewers and listeners who don't know, is a very left-wing Israeli national newspaper.
It's the New York Times of Israel.
Yeah, it's to the far left.
New York Times of Israel.
Yeah.
Right, and he was citing this article as proof and evidence that Israeli officers and comrades were using Nazi tactics, and Josh Rubner called that a fact. He said, "Look it up. I challenge you to look it up," so I did. And this article did not cite the names of any of the Israeli officers or his comrades that made these supposedly Nazi tactic comments.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lie. So what this tells me is that Josh, is that he'll stoop to any level using unverifiable sources to further this false and hate-filled anti-Israeli agenda. And I think that's the fuel that motivates Josh, is that he hates Israel.
But
absolutely.
The psychology of going from being nearly blown up in suicide bombing in a bus that killed 27 people to having to...
Well,
really
that gives
coming
him
out
his
of
street
protecting-
creds, doesn't it?
I don't know. It's
Well, he
I wish I was a
probably thinks so.
psychologist I could understand this.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys are absolutely fascinating, and it's 4:33, and we have some callers on the line to talk to the Allens today.
Great.
And first up, we have Mort on the line. Yes, Mort, are you there?
Mort.
Mort, come on back. Nope. Okay, Mort, if you're there, try calling back. We'll try Betsy then. No, Betsy's gone, and then we have Mike.
Hello.
Hi, Mike.
Yes. Can you
How
hear me?
are you today? Yeah, you're on with CJ and the two Allens today.
Good. I'm looking back in the history. I'm 46 years old, and I start to think, in movies or newspapers. Back in the day, you couldn't criticize Israel at all, no matter what, because you got the anti-Semitic thing thrown at you. I mean, it's going back, whatever. I mean, Mel Gibson's movie came out, and there was an outrage that there would be synagogues.
Yeah, the Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, the rabbis across the country went crazy.
Yeah, I remember that.
And nothing happened across the country, not even one thing. Okay, then you go back to Pat Buchanan mentioned something in some article in the 70s about Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
Something obscure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they used that against him when he was running for president.
Okay.
Specifically the Jewish media.
Right. So, Mike, do you have a specific question or comment about the event at FAU tonight?
Yeah, because back in the day, you couldn't mention Israel at all, even if it was good or bad. If you said the word Israel, everyone looked at you like, what?
So you feel like everybody's just kind of making up for lost time?
Can you point to the moment in this country when it became okay to rip Israel?
Well, can I just respond to you, Michael? I appreciate your phone call, but Pat Buchanan is known to be anti-Israel. He was a Republican, and I listened to him.
He still is a Republican.
Yeah, he has conservative views, but he's again. David Duke is anti-Israel, but I don't remember.
David Duke and Pat Buchanan.
But wait a second. Wait. Let me respond. When it came to the Passion of Christ, the attack on the Passion of Christ was by the head of ADL.
Yeah.
He was the leader. And
he hadn't even seen the movie.
Right. And I
they were on TV every night.
That's
wait.
But that's not what we're talking about.
That was Abe Foxman. Now, I'm a Jewish activist. And I said, you know what? God bless him. You want to have the Passion of Christ on? Fine, do it. Abe Foxman is not a person that I look up to and respect. He's the head of the Anti-Defamation League.
Well, he was on television every night, so apparently they gave him some validity.
Okay, but the Jewish people as a whole did not condemn that movie. This is the country is a democracy. You want to put a movie like that out and put your money on the line, you put your money on the line. I did not speak out, nor did any other supporters of Israel speak out against that movie. But you're saying that you can't speak out against Israel today? Look at the New York Times. Look at the Sun.
No. He's saying that there was a time when you couldn't,
well, you could. Right. You could, but it wasn't receptive at the time because
you couldn't. If you did that.
Okay, but what does that have to do with today and what we're talking about today?
If you were in the movie industry, if you were in politics, if you worked for a newspaper, if you mentioned anything negative against Israel, your career was over.
Okay, so what about today? What about today?
Yeah, the question is, we're talking about today.
When did it become cause celeb to rip Israel? That's what I'd like to know.
Oh, I don't have the answer for that, but maybe one of our other callers does.
When does what? When did
it become a cause celeb to rip Israel?
Well, after the 1967 war, when Israel took over territories that.
No one in the newspapers, in the movies. When does Israel look bad in the movies? In any movie, at any time.
I'll tell you. You know when?
Yeah, they're up for Oscars all the time for portraying Israel in a bad way.
Did you see the movie Munich? Did you see the movie Munich?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
That wrapped Israel totally. It said that the Mossad were as bad as the Palestinian terrorists. So the movies are viciously anti-Israel today.
All right. Well, thanks for calling, Mike. We're going to go on to another call now. We have Mort on the line.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mort.
Good. Very interesting. Bunch of questions, and it's amazing. I was wondering about the FAU, and I'm wondering how this affects and how this is impressive on the parents, including Jewish parents, and including all parents, who send their offspring to FAU expecting that they'll receive an education that prepares them for life's challenges. How do they feel about what's going on here?
I've wondered about that, and I have to tell you, I feel like this current generation of kids grew up kind of being thrown into the school system, the public school system, as the children to be taken care of by the school system. So the parents of this current generation have not really raised their children the same way the parents of previous generations have. They really gave them over to the nanny state to be raised in the public schools. And I don't think they paid attention to what these kids were being taught in the public schools. And I think they feel like their obligation is to make sure that their kids get a college education, but I don't think they pay attention to what they're actually being taught.
But let me throw another point. Let me throw another point. Let me throw another point at you, Mort. If this were a meeting tonight of anti-black people saying that slavery was good and that blacks caused crime in this country, so forth and so on, would the black students be as quiet as the Jewish students are on campus today? Would there would be?
I'm a little nonplussed by that. And CJ, I think you're right. I think that parents got used to sending their kids to used to having their kids in daycare.
Yep.
And they went from daycare in elementary school to daycare in high school.
Yep.
And now it's daycare at FAU. This is tragic.
But where are the Jewish kids on campus? Like I said, if
the Jewish kids on campus, they probably didn't have a very Jewish upbringing to begin with.
They have to know about it. Word has to get around that you have.
Yeah, but they are leftist kids.
Well,
they're leftist kids, and they don't want to stick their necks out, and they want to be popular, and they want to have friends, and they don't want to be the only conservative in a group full of liberals.
Then
that's
they will
pretty
pay.
much
They
it.
will pay the penalty for it.
Okay, we got to get Tom on the line. Oh boy, Tom. Yeah, hang on, Mort and Alan. We got Tom on the line.
I don't talk. I'm going to walk in. It looks like they're trying to block us, maybe.
Okay.
How many?
Don't say anything. I'm just going to put it on the. I'm just going to put it on the speakerphone, and we'll do this live. Okay.
Okay.
How many?
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, quiet.
Bunch of cops, but we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Don't talk.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Tom is now walking into Florida Atlantic University. You're hearing this live on the air on TrentoVision.
Yeah, quiet, Alan. He told me to be quiet.
Well, we're live on the radio right now. So, tell us what now? Who are you, first of all?
Look, there's no video equipment.
No, we're on the radio. We're on the radio.
There's no video equipment in the room. You're allowed to stay. You're allowed to stay, but you cannot have video.
We called.
Step outside.
We called the school.
Please step outside.
10 times to get a clarification.
I'm gonna ask you one more time.
We called the school.
Please
10
step
times.
outside.
Now, I want to see my supervisor. Okay. Are you with the Boca Raton Police Department?
Have a seat outside.
Let's talk about it out here. We'll talk about it out here.
Come in the room, but you can't take the
No.
It's a private venue. You can have
Not a private venue. It's been advertised publicly all over the place.
Yes, sir.
They can't make up these rules, sir. You should be on our side.
I'm on nobody's side. I'm on the side of truth.
You should be on the side of the law.
I'm on the law. I'm trying to tell you.
You're allowed
to go inside.
Could I see the
You're allowed.
He's outside.
You're allowed to go inside, but you can't use the radio equipment.
This is the radio. We're live on the radio.
That's fine.
I'd like to see the policy, because we checked the policy, we checked with the school attorney. There's no prohibition against this. We already did.
Nobody's kicking you off the camera. We're kicking inside here.
What is the law?
You can't go in the room. Well, he just said he said you can't go in the room.
So this is outside the room?
That's all.
Yeah, but we want to know the law.
You can't go inside the room with the camera. That's all. That's all. That's what I'm telling you.
You making up the law?
I'm not making up.
Okay.
Look, I'm not making up anything. I'm telling you the rules of this venue. You cannot go into that room.
Those rules?
You cannot go into that room with video.
Could I see that?
That's it.
Nobody could produce that. I went to the
I went to the building manager and I went to the media center, and they couldn't present that to me. You can tell me that they're lying. That's what you can tell me.
I'm just telling you the rules.
Then let me see the law.
I don't have this rule. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of rules in this world that we don't have to show you.
Okay.
All
right.
But you can't go in that room with the camera. That's all.
Okay.
I'm not going to kick you out of here. You can't go in with the camera. He just tried to kick you out. No, he did not kick you out.
Okay.
He did not kick you out.
Okay. Sir, you're wrong. And all right. Okay. We'll have to deal with this.
Okay. You can't go in the room with the camera.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. And you're Officer Irwin. And if we go in, what are you going to do?
I didn't say anything to you. Don't listen to me, favor, sir.
No, I want to know what the repercussions are if we go in.
Sir, if we don't need to be arrested, you can go inside the room.
No, I mean with the camera.
You can go inside the room if you want.
Get arrested.
Will we be arrested, sir?
We're getting it down on the record,
Will we be
okay?
arrested if we go inside the room with cameras, sir? And so, what charge, sir?
Yeah. When you arrest us, what is the charge you're being arrested for? Simple. It's a simple question.
Let me tell you something. I just told you you can't go to the room with video cameras. That's all. That's okay.
Okay. All right.
If we go into that room...
Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You know, this is wrong. They know it's wrong, but they don't know what to do about it.
They don't know because they can't arrest us for anything. What are you arrested for?
They get in trouble if they arrest us, not us. This is crazy on a college campus, sir. This is the epitome of free speech.
What would you arrest us for, sir?
All right, he's on the wrong side of the law. He's probably a good guy. He's on the wrong side of this. Leave it alone, Mark. You know, he was told to do this. We'll deal with it at a higher level. Just leave it alone. All right. Hello?
Hello, Tom.
Are you there?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard all of that nonsense.
So who was that?
Those were the police officers, 3 of them, who a sergeant and his boss and another guy, Florida Atlantic Police. And I don't know how clearly you heard the ridiculous conversation. Did you hear it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well...
they don't have to show you the policy, but the policy is that you're not allowed to bring video equipment in?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a dean there or a provost
No, there's
there?
nobody there, and it's 4:45, so all the offices will be closed in 15 minutes, and they'll tell you that they can't bring anybody down.
Could you call 911 to help you out, Tom?
No. I think what's happening is... and when we walked into the room, and... you know, they were looking another way or whatever they were doing. They were standing there. And one of the Muslim girls in there got all nervous. We just walked in. We didn't start to set up the camera. And she got all nervous and say, this is a private thing. This is our affair. I took pictures of the advertisements that are on the wall. I have the Facebook page in my hand of a public, advertisement of this thing. So this is a done deal on their part. They don't want anybody in there videotaping it. We can go in there and listen and all of that. They don't want a written record or a visual record of this. And we would have gotten arrested. But he didn't want to say that, but that's what would have happened. And when you ask, what did you get arrested for? He would have said what they would do is just say disorderly conduct or some baloney thing. They're not going to lay out a First Amendment issue or any civil rights issue. It's going to be a misdemeanor issue. And but we got enough information in addition to the other day where something very similar happened.
Right.
That this is a discriminatory policy that is absolutely illegal, and now this solidifies in my mind that we're going to move ahead with filing complaints, following the lawsuit.
So, Tom, are you going to put away the video equipment and go in and listen to the presentation? And then interview people.
If I could keep Mark's temper.
And then what you can do.
It's very aggravating for both of us.
And then what you can do is you can interview people outside of the building after the presentation, which you're allowed to do.
Okay. I'm going to show them our media credentials when we go back in. I'm going to show them our media credentials when we go back in.
Okay.
No, we're gonna put the stuff away, and we're gonna go sit in there, and we're gonna take notes. That's all.
Are there any people streaming in? Are there people streaming in to go to this
There were
meeting?
half a dozen people in there. It's a little early now.
It's early, yeah. You have about
and it's
15 minutes, yeah.
It's a tiny room. There's probably 20 seats, 25 seats. I don't know where there's 51 people. Nobody's sitting on my lap, not
57,
even
57.
Mark, okay?
You know how those Islamists like to inflate the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, that's the live report from here.
Okay,
And,
so you'll keep in touch, and I'll make sure to put you through right away.
we'll keep in touch.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
What an outrage. What a
my
freaking
gosh.
outrage.
Yeah.
Right here in the United States of America.
A public university in Boca Raton, Florida. Not a
Taxpayer
private,
funds.
taxpayer-funded university holding a public event advertised to the non-university public.
And where is the money coming from to pay this guy to speak, this Huffman guy?
Student activities fees.
And that comes from basically our pockets.
Subsidized tuition.
Subsidized
tuition.
And he had 3 policemen there, a sergeant, and they had absolutely...
They were waiting for them to make sure that nobody came in.
They had no constitutional backing at all. They didn't say why
They
they're
don't
not
have
permitted.
any backing of the university policy, and nobody in the university would answer questions all day today. Nobody from the legal department, nobody from the building department, nobody from the media department. They won't even answer the phone in the media department.
If you were the president of this university, wouldn't you, if you were Professor Saunders or whatever the hell she calls herself, wouldn't you have people there, civilians, explaining to Tom and
I would
why
have
he's
sent
not...
somebody down and said, here's our policy.
Are they not
No
employed?
taping inside the rooms where public
So
events
they don't
are
have
happening.
enough people being paid to do that? The bills are astronomical for students to go to FAU.
Yeah.
So why didn't they have a civilian employee from the president's office station himself or herself there and explain to Tom just what the rules and regulations
Why don't they
were?
have somebody from the media relations department, which has a 20-page document that you can get
They're
on their
locked.
website?
They're locked in their offices now.
They
And
are
they're getting a
locked in
report
their
now.
offices.
They're getting a report now from this sergeant.
Everything directs you to go, by the university rules, directs you to go to the media relations department for all questions.
Do we have the number of the president's office at FAU that we can give out to our listeners so that they could call immediately and first thing tomorrow morning so that they could complain about this violation of constitutional rights? The president of this university has to be called out, and she has to be put on notice. And there has
She's
to be
probably going to be called out and put on notice by an attorney.
You know, there is a speaker right now tonight at the Black Students Union, the Ethiopian ambassador to the United States,
Right.
and he is speaking pro-Israel. Don't you think they're going to have some Muslim students in there disrupting that meeting?
Probably.
Okay, and are video cameras not permitted in the Black Student Union meeting tonight?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, of course there'll be cameras in there.
Yeah.
But it's a one-way street, ladies and gentlemen. We're headed for totalitarianism right here in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah, and here we are. It's 4:51 on February 12th.
I'm waiting for them to cut the wires here.
Good grief. No. We're paid up. We paid our bills. We paid our bills. And this is CJ and Alan and Mort on the line and Invisible Mike. And we're all substituting for Tom and Mark, who are over at FAU, to try to attend and record a public event at FAU, which was advertised publicly to the non-university public. And they were escorted out of the premises by 3 police officers who were there to block them from attending this meeting. A teach-in.
Listeners, CJ, of this show and in South Florida, just witnessed an incredible event, because what you just heard, to put it into context, is you just heard a violation of First Amendment rights. This is a constitutional free speech issue now at this point. The university has elevated. Now, a university used to be the last bastion for academic debate. That was shut down today. You witnessed it live on the air on TrentoVision. That was incredible radio that you will not hear in any other station anywhere in the country. Kudos
Yeah,
Tom Trento
really,
and Mark
really
having this
amazing.
on the
And I'm
air.
so mad that I missed it. I hope they go back in.
Well, Tom
I
is
hope
doing
they
the
go
right
back
thing.
in.
Tom is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, the humiliation of being arrested, locked up, having handcuffs put on you, and taken to the police station.
Yeah.
Because the police in Boca Raton will just follow the orders of the FAU police, and Tom will have to spend the night in the Huskow. And this is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be throughout when this dictatorship takes over. What you just saw was an example of what is to be.
It's absolutely.
Tom used a legal tactic by not getting arrested because, as he said, he would have been arrested on a misdemeanor trespassing charge,
right?
Which will impact a later case should Tom choose to adjudicate this and file a complaint.
Right. Well, he's taking a.
So for all you up-and-coming activists, this is a lesson in the proper way to do
Take a page out of Martin Luther King's handbook. Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it's
This makes America great.
Yeah, I think so.
American exceptionalism, even though this turned out horribly.
Okay. Alan, hang on 1 second. We've got Mark. Alan, yeah, we got Mark on the line. And for the other callers who are on the line, we're not going to be able to get to you before the break, but give us a call when we come back after the top of the hour, please. Okay? So let's go with Mark.
Yeah, we've been told to leave the area with our camera equipment. We're not allowed in with our camera equipment.
Okay.
And we showed our media badges. And the presidential media badges were cleared by the Secret Service and God's green earth, and told we cannot go in there with media badges, with certified, credentialed media badges from the Secret Service.
Okay. So are you going to go in there without your cameras and listen to the teach-in?
We're going to go in there, but hey, you know what? They can deny anything they want to now because there's nothing on record or on tape. What we wanted to do, we wanted to capture the exact accuracy of what they were saying. Yet, we are being denied, as press, to go in there and record things accurately.
And this guy, Kubner, he's not a resident of Florida. He's not a taxpayer of Florida, I assume. And he has a right to go in there and speak, and you don't have the right to go in there and even listen to him?
Certified press, we do not have the right to go in there. Certified presidential press passes. We do not have the right to go in there.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing that the Sun Sentinel and the Palm Beach Post didn't send any reporters down tonight?
Where is the Palm Beach Post? Where is the Sun Sentinel? Where are they at? Where is the local news media at?
Well, they were told not to show up.
They were told not to show up. They were told not to show up because they might actually have to cover the vile hate
many levels
fest.
on the First Amendment issue. This is disgusting beyond belief. I mean, the freedom of press, the right.
But control yourself, Mark.
But you're gonna be calm when you're in the room, right,
Control yourself,
Mark?
Control yourself, Mark.
I'm just so angry right now.
Okay.
Mark, calm down.
Yeah. Take a moment, take a breath. We're gonna take a break.
You don't have no idea.
And we'll be back in a few minutes.
You have no idea how many people love the two of you. Just relax and calm down.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to TrentoVision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Hi, I'm Clint Black. Have you heard of Rett syndrome? I hadn't until my niece Courtney was diagnosed. Rett syndrome is a neurological disorder which occurs mostly in girls. It's often misdiagnosed as autism or cerebral palsy. Rett syndrome strikes without warning. A girl with Rett syndrome starts out as a happy, healthy baby until 6 or 18 months of age, when something goes terribly wrong. She loses the ability to speak, use her hands to play with toys, or even feed herself. She may also lose the ability to walk. A girl with Rett syndrome makes constant hand washing or hand wringing movements. By the time she is 3 years old, a girl with Rett syndrome is severely handicapped. The International Rett Syndrome Foundation hopes to find the families affected by this devastating disorder and provide care and research that will make a difference. Research is urgently needed to accelerate treatments and find a cure. Please call 1-800-818-7388 or visit rettsyndrome.org today. Your help is our hope.
What if you got rewarded for every good decision? What if your heart had a special way of letting you know it appreciates your healthy choices?
I've got to get my family to eat more vegetables.
Amazing!
And instead of cooking with butter tonight, I think I'll saute our veggies with heart-healthy oil.
You're a genius! So really, would your food choices pay off in heart health? Did you know that when you replace bad fats with healthier fats, like those in canola or other vegetable oils, it can lower bad cholesterol levels, and that's good for your heart. Here's a winning idea. Take up the challenge for good health, because the you of the future will say,
Fantastic!
Learn more at heart.org/facethefats. Canola Info proudly supports the American Heart Association's Face the Fats campaign.
Me, a cat, moving in with a single guy. At first, I thought it might be a little weird, but turns out it's actually pretty amusing. For instance, like my human's gotten so used to me being around, sometimes I think he forgets I'm here. He'll get up for work, shower, shave, and come out with no pants. Plops right down in front of the TV. Hello, there's a lady in the room.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
AM 1470, WNN, with more of what you need to know. Start your day with the Steve Kane Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on South Florida's Health and Wealth Network, AM 1470, WNN.
To work closely with President Park Geun-hye, who takes office later this month.
When President Obama announces tonight that 34,000 U.S. troops will be home from Afghanistan within a year, it will mark the next phase in the administration's plans to formally finish the war by the end of next year. An official says Obama won't announce troop numbers beyond 2014 in the speech and hasn't yet made that decision. The White House has said it will be open to leaving no troops in Afghanistan, though it's likely that a small presence will remain. This is IRN USA Radio News.
Valentine's Day is this week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing last-minute deal. 1 dozen gorgeous red roses plus a free glass vase, a free teddy bear, and a free box of chocolates for just $39.99. Go to proflowers.com, click on the radio microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the secret code ROSE14. But hurry, Valentine's Day is this Thursday, and this incredible deal expires Wednesday. Most roses will be sold out by Valentine's Day, so order now from Pro Flowers to get huge savings and guaranteed Valentine's delivery. 1 dozen stunning red roses sent fresh from the fields, guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 full days, plus a free vase, free teddy bear, and free chocolates, all for only $39.99. But hurry, because it could be nearly impossible to find roses on Valentine's Day. And this incredible last-minute deal expires Wednesday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the upper right corner, and enter the secret code ROSE14. That's secret code ROSE14.
The nation's top military officers are warning Congress of severe consequences for national security if lawmakers don't stop sharp budget cuts from going into effect in 2 weeks.
One by one, the Joint Chiefs and one Vice Chief made their case.
These debilitating effects, dire and to my knowledge unprecedented, devastating impact with alarming and immediate effects,
prompting Senator Lindsey Graham to ask the nation's top officer,
have you run out of adjectives to tell us how bad this is?
Senator, I have a degree in English from Duke University, and the answer is yes.
And the worst part for Deputy Defense Chief Ash Carter?
All this is purely the collateral damage of political gridlock.
He's urging lawmakers to put aside partisan differences.
Activists in Syria report a second straight day of major strategic gains by rebels there. They said the rebels have captured a military base near Aleppo, Syria's largest city, and that they've stormed another base that protects the city's international airport. For the latest news and analysis, log on to IRNUSAnews.com.
One day, Texas is being overrun by some of the baddest cars to ever hit the road. But they'll have to go through these two first.
Fired up! Whoa!
Richard and Aaron are back for an all-new season of
Fast and Loud. Fast and Loud.
restoring the cars you know and love.
Shelby. 59 Apache Short Bed. 32 Ford.
And having a good time doing it. Fast and Loud. New season premieres Monday at 9 on Discovery.
A law enforcement official says a person believed to be the fugitive ex-Los Angeles cop sought in 3 killings has exchanged gunfire with authorities in the San Bernardino Mountains. The officer says it's believed Christopher Dorner committed a residential burglary of a cabin and had a couple tied up in the cabin. One was able to get away and make a call. Authorities responded to the location and gave chase Tuesday when Dorner fled in a stolen car. Gunfire was exchanged. Under the newly signed Church Protection Act, persons with concealed carry permits can take their weapons into churches in the state of Arkansas. Our correspondent Sean Scott Ferguson has more.
The Democratic Governor Mike Beebe signed the bill into law after the Republican-controlled House voted 85-8 in support, following passage in the Republican-controlled Senate, which voted 28-4. Allowing concealed handguns and the particular persons who carry them into church property would, under the Church Protection Act, be a decision to be taken by individual places of worship. Guns will remain off limits where churches have taken no action. I'm Sean Scott Ferguson, IRN USA News.
In a solid show of bipartisanship, the Senate has voted to renew the 2-decade-old Violence Against Women Act with new provisions to ensure that gays and lesbians, immigrants, and Native American women have equal access to the Act's anti-domestic violence programs. The Act is credited with aiding millions of domestic violence victims and reducing domestic abuse in the U.S. It expired in 2011, and Congress has struggled to replace it. With IRN USA Radio News, I'm Hope Duggar.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN TrentoVision show. Due to the unparalleled success of the TrentoVision show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the TrentoVision show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity for your business, please contact Tom Trento at 561-319-5533, or you can email him, tom@trentovision.tv. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to TrentoVision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. TrentoVision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
Well, hello and welcome to TrentoVision. I'm not Tom Trento. I am CJ, substituting for Tom Trento this afternoon. Tom is at FAU, Florida Atlantic University, where he and Jamar Campbell were just prevented from entering a public room on the FAU campus for a public meeting advertised to the public, and prevented from entering the room with their video and recording equipment. And here I am in the studio with Alan Bergstein, our local friend and activist, and Invisible Mike, and also our good friend Alan Corman from the United West, calling in from Orlando, Florida. We are 1470 AM, 888-565-1470, and our subject this afternoon is the anti-Israel hate fest taking place on the FAU campus and blocking the media from entering this event and recording this event. And welcome, Alan.
Thanks. You know, it's not only happening on the FAU campus. I'm an alumnus of Brooklyn College, and Brooklyn College at this very time is having the same situation with SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine. Remember that name, Students for Justice in Palestine. Google that organization and find out what they stand for.
Yeah, that's a Muslim Brotherhood group, isn't it?
It's a Muslim Brotherhood group, it's a Hamas group, it's a CARE group, Council on American-Islamic Relations.
Yeah.
These are all appendages of radical Islam taking hold of our university systems and our school systems, together with the United Federation of Teachers, the NEA, National Education Association, and the AFL-CIO. They're taking So our kids are indoctrinated now into Islam from the kindergarten through the university system. They've taken
and the
over.
public is through the media and through the White House.
You know how I feel right now? During the break, I sat here thinking.
Because you've been around for a few years. You've seen it all, pretty much.
Couple of years. I feel as if I were one of the victims on the USS St. Louis in 1938, when they reached the shores of the United States and President Roosevelt decreed that they not be permitted to land.
Right.
I feel just like one of them, doomed, because I hate to be so negative, but we are doomed if we continue permitting this type of behavior that we see at FAU and at Brooklyn College, where the Students for Justice in Palestine do not permit students to come in with papers on their laps. They threw physically 4 of them out of Brooklyn College under the protection of the police at Brooklyn College.
The police took students out who were taking notes during a lecture at Brooklyn College.
Well, 4 kids came into the session.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a Students for Justice in Palestine event.
Right.
And they had questions on their lap that they were going to confront the speakers with.
Yeah.
And,
after the presentation.
After the presentation.
Right. So they're not. Yeah, they're not disrupting the presentation.
Jewish kids
they're not
don't
getting
disrupt.
up and holding up signs
No.
and shouting
Not at
down
all.
the speakers or other people asking questions or anything like that.
A SJP member spotted the papers on their laps, demanded to see it. They refused, and the police came and literally carried them out of the room. This is a report I received today. So this is happening. If it's happening in 2 institutions, it's happening all over.
It's happening all over the country. We were interviewing a good friend of ours on the radio last week, Gary Faust, over from California, and he attended.
Irvine?
Yeah, and he attended one of the Israeli Apartheid Week activities at UC Irvine, and he brought in his video camera, and they tried to kick him out, and he would not let them kick him out. They did not kick him out.
Then he risks arrest. Now, I want to know.
And he actually
where is the media?
I think he's an adjunct faculty member there.
Where is the media? If I were a member of the local news media, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, Sun Central, I would say, you know what, this looks like a meaty, M-E-A-T-Y issue. Let me send some reporter down to cover the events of the Muslims. Let's see what's happening.
Oh, the media has absolutely no interest in covering anything to do with Muslims or Islamism or anti-Semitism at all.
They
And
have
why
other
is that?
nonsense about a dog biting a man. They have about alligators. They have the snakes in the Everglades are a big issue in the Sun Sentinel. That's all you read about. But real hard news about Islam encroaching on our society,
Well,
none whatsoever.
how about just the issue of the First Amendment? Because this didn't just happen today. This happened last week as well. Mike was over there last week, and another friend of ours who's also a videographer was there last week, and they were prevented from entering a room where
our freedoms are being slowly withdrawn.
Greta Berlin of the Free Gaza movement was giving a speech on the Freedom Sailors, and they were prevented from entering the room with their video equipment. They were kicked out. And so we spent the whole time from last week to now, 6 days, contacting the university, the president's office, the legal office, the building department office, the media relations office, everybody to find out what is the university policy for recording public events at the public university that are advertised and open to the public. And nobody in 6 days has been able to give an answer to the legitimate press of what is the university policy
where are our congresspeople
for the press.
Lois Frankel and Ted Deutsch? Shouldn't they be on this immediately?
I don't know if they know even what's happening
Then
on
they
the
don't
FAU.
belong in office. Then they don't belong. If they don't know what's happening in their territory, they don't belong in office.
Well, I don't know. I think they're busy in Washington
Well,
right
maybe
now.
they're pleading
but
ignorance.
Still, but how about the local media?
Dead meat. Dead meat.
Who are they going after? These Students for Justice in Palestine.
Well,
what is
first
their
of all,
purpose?
the Students for Justice and Palestine, what their goal is?
Yeah.
Their goal is basically to intimidate the students on campus and to let people know of the horrors of the Israeli oppression and occupation, and they appear to be getting their way.
Here's what the goal is. The goal is to delegitimize the State of Israel, a government entity, and dehumanize the Israeli people and the Jewish people and vilify them worldwide. This is not just a phenomenon in the United States. They took their page from the Europeans,
but that's a short-term
where these
goal.
Activities are publicly sanctioned at all levels of government.
That's their short-term goal, but their long-term goal is to jihadize the United States and to turn the United States into a Muslim environment, and they're doing it very well.
Well, speaking of the left in the United States, I don't think that's necessarily what their goal is. I think their primary goal is they just hate Jewish people, and they will ally themselves with anybody who is with them on this subject.
Well, look at our proposed CIA director, John Brennan.
Oh.
Doesn't he have ties to radical Islam?
Of course he does. He's enamored of
How
them.
about Huma Abedin, who was basically running the State Department in the Middle East?
Yep, she's a Muslim sister, isn't she? Yep, absolutely.
So, I mean, it has reached the top levels of our government. It has reached the top levels of our government.
It is so pervasive in society. I mean, you think it's always going to happen somewhere else, but here it is, 5 minutes away from this studio.
And people who live within a mile radius of FAU, you must have about 100,000 Jews.
At least.
And how many of those 100,000 Jews know what's going on?
They don't know what's
going on. How many
on.
rabbis are tuned in and say, hey, listen, hold the phone. Look what's happening at FAU. Israel is being radicalized.
Hold the phone. They're counseling their students to be quiet and not to be disruptive.
Well, I call upon the rabbis right now, the rabbis within earshot of this station. You must have about 1,000 rabbis within earshot of this station. I call upon them to look into the situation at FAU.
Mm-hmm.
Let them look into it themselves, put it under a magnifying glass, and speak to their congregants Friday night and Saturday about what's happening at FAU.
Yeah.
Let them do that. I challenge them to do that rather than talk about some nonsense about a tikkun olam, repair the world. I don't want to repair the world. I want to repair Boca Raton.
Okay, let's start with Boca.
Let me start with Boca Raton.
Yeah, let's also check to make sure that we do have Alan on the line, if Alan came back.
Does he have enough?
Yeah, Alan is still here. Thank you, Alan Corman, from calling in from Orlando. And Alan attended one of these anti-Israeli,
anti-democracy rallies.
Anti-democracy fests at Rollins College that Tom and Mark are attending now. And Alan, if you could say hi to everybody and then stand by because we have a caller for you on the line.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Okay. Alan Corman and Alan Bergstein are with us. Invisible Mike is actually in the room, silent as he is. And we have Alonda on the line today.
Hello.
Alonda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Thanks for calling in today. I wasn't sure if you would call when Tom is in here.
No, I called anyway, TJ. Listen, I got some. The Alumni Association of FAU has been they've been sending out stuff, for a number of us to join.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of took the promotional material. This is for what it's worth.
Okay.
This is something from the bottom of from down deep within myself. I submitted a letter to them. It was rather long, and I cited these particular activities, these particular so-called Israeli shut-ins and conferences, and I told them, since they have now become a haven of anti-Semitism, I do not want them to send any form of solicitation. I have no intention of being solicited from them, and I have no intentions of supporting them as a campus. I'm ashamed to have ever gone there.
Oh my goodness.
They have that letter en route to them, just so you know. If enough of us who are former students, I think, get wind of this, perhaps maybe we can do something.
Oh my gosh.
Because they've been trying to solicit us, to come on board with them, give us $10, give us $100, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I kindly took that same material, enclosed one of my letters, and sent it back to them, let them know who I was and what year I graduated. I told them I do not want to be associated, and I'm ashamed that I've ever gone to that college.
Oh my goodness.
So that's just me personally. I don't know about anybody else out there, but me myself, I will not stand for it. Coming from an activist, pretty much an activist parent, I'm well aware of what my rights are, and not just my rights, but those who I have known over the years, those friends of mine who are Jewish. It is, to me, it is inexcusable for any of us to put money in a university that is so blatantly anti-Semitic right now.
Oh my goodness.
That's just me, CJ. I can't speak for anybody else, but all of you out there who are alumni, you need to get together, send off some letters, and let them know how we feel. I'm on record. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm on record. I will not support a university that is blatantly anti-Semitic. I will not do it.
Okay.
I will not do it. And not even just blatantly, but anti-Semitic, period. This is awful. This is awful.
You're talking about the FAU Alumni Association. Are they aware of what's going on campus?
Well, they will be by the time they get Volanda's letter.
Yes, because I won't. Me personally, I won't stand for it. I'm not going to give money to a university and support something like this. This is horrible.
Volanda, can I ask you what year did you graduate in? Because you're obviously from a different generation that has a different point of view than the current students do.
I attended FAU from 1988 to 1991. I graduated in 91.
Wow.
So I probably am a different generation, but
right.
I was sort of straddling the fence at this point, given my budgets and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know about these incidents, and now the so-called shut-ins.
Yeah.
If enough of us get together, and if enough of us are willing to stand together, hopefully we can stop this garbage. This is outrageous, CJ. I've never known a conference, a so-called public conference, in which you are not allowed to bring a camera into it and record what's going on. That's garbage.
Yeah.
To record some of my lectures.
Right.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Did you see anything like this when you were a student on campus? Did they have the Free Gaza movement and Israeli Apartheid Week? And
the only thing that I know of, CJ, that came close to it was that a so-called statistics teacher, professor there, was advocating on behalf of the Palestinian people, and he used to stand out there in the pavilion. FAU has changed, so I don't know if that's still there. And he used to rattle on for hours on end, taking questions. And he was very vocal about his support for the Palestinians and their so-called plight, this and that.
But this was in his off hours, and this wasn't, the university giving space to outside speakers for these kinds of disgusting activities.
This was a so-called statistics professor, so-called statistics teacher. He was in the social science department.
Right.
But I remember he was very, very vocal about supporting, the Palestinian
But he has the right to do that.
But what Volanda is saying is that I never saw anything like what's happening today. There was one nutcase professor who used to go out in the public pavilion and go yelling about the Palestinians, but that's different.
Yolanda, have you ever heard?
Nothing like this. I have never heard of a lecture, even when Jimmy Carter came there on campus. I never heard anything, like that, especially if you have press credentials like Tom.
Yeah.
If you have press credentials like, anybody else.
Yeah, we were vetted by the Secret Service to attend the presidential debate here at Lynn University, for gosh sakes.
So, when I got the material, I just took it, sent it back, and with my note and enclosed it.
You did the right thing, but you know what? There's a professor at FAU now, Bassem Al-Halabi. Do you know who he is? He is
But you know what? He will probably come later on. The professors I had, sir, what is your name, by the way?
Alan.
Alan. Okay, Alan, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The professors I knew, many of them were not, were not Arab or Arab, from Arab countries, or for that matter, even, most of them, the ones that I knew were, especially in the poli-sci department, we were all, intimately, we knew each other.
Right.
Sure.
And there was no, as far as I knew, there was no anti-Semitism, that was blatant or ever came out or came out in force like this. Now, I understand that there is a mosque in that community. I've seen it. I don't know whether influence from them has come over to FAU, or was there any,
Yeah, that's the Islamic Center of Boca Raton, and a professor at FAU, Bassam al-Halabi, was convicted of sending military equipment to Syria about 4 years ago, and he was up for tenure, and the president of the university gave him tenure, even though he had basically a conviction of violating an American export law by sending military equipment to Syria, which was at that time a terrorist state. So FAU
I think it still is.
So FAU is leaning in the direction of supporting radical Islam, which goes against all of our beliefs.
Absolutely.
It does. It goes against our commitment to the freedom of speech. I've never seen anything like this, and what's scary, what's so scary about this? I don't know if there were any. If Tom was confronted by an African American, it's because I don't know. Given the speech inflection, it sounds like that's what I heard, or someone who was a minority.
Well, it was three FAU/Boca Raton police.
Okay, because to be quite honest with you, they should know better. I know.
Well, they're taking their orders from somebody. But let me ask everybody we have on the line now. What do you think is taking place in that room right now, over at FAU, that won't let the media in? What do you think they're talking about in there that they don't want the public to actually be aware of, that they are afraid to have a public record of? And the title of this event is, Why Has the United States Failed to Achieve Israeli-Palestinian Peace? A teach-in on the U.S.-Israel relationship with Josh Rubner. And the description of the event is, Josh will conduct a teach-in on the exceptional yet destructive U.S.-Israel relationship. In particular, he will expose the role of AIPAC and the greater Zionist lobby in disproportionately influencing U.S. policy on the Middle East. Josh will explain how these groups actively work to steer U.S. policy in a pro-Israel direction, and in doing so create profound damage to America's national interests.
Well, Yolanda, there's more to it than this. The Muslims are killing blacks in Nigeria, in Mali, and in the Sudan.
All over.
They're running rampage through South Africa, killing blacks who do not want to become Muslims, enslaving them. And there is no mention of this in the news today. Not at all.
Absolutely none. And I'm afraid we will never. I'm surprised, and I wish I could see it. The program I'm told that's supposed to be on, that I think I don't know whether you all mentioned it or someone else, but that Diane Sawyer is doing with respect to the.
That's going to be on Nightline tonight.
Yeah, the betrayal.
Yeah.
Of those people there. I'm surprised that's even gotten any play, because the way things are working right now, MSNBC may as well be propaganda network. ABC is the same thing. If you ever look and watch it, it's all like they've been bought off. Every one of them.
They have been bought off.
And now Fox has succumbed, and it just makes you not even want.
It just makes you appreciate the fact that we here at TrentoVision are still here, doesn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for calling, Valanda. Thank you for the letter.
I love you for your outspokenness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love you for your outspokenness.
Really good work. Yeah.
Thank you.
And you guys take care.
All right.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's 5:27 here at TrentoVision,
You know, I got chills.
1470 a.m.
I got chills. Here is a woman, a college graduate, a local resident, who understands what's going on, and you could hear the vehemence in her voice,
I'm
the
telling
anger.
you, this lady has called the show before. We know her. I mean, she's like one of our friends, okay?
Why can't we get together?
And I have never heard her, even after the election, I have never heard her so horrified and outraged. I mean, never.
Why is it then that only 1% or 2% of the people are aware of what's going on?
I don't know.
It's scary to me. You know, I mentioned before about the SS.
The bad
St.
guys
Louis,
count on it.
and they get away with it.
And they get away with it.
It's the most outrageous thing for FAU, a university. They spend so much damn money on their football team. They spend so much money on the glory of the football team, and academic rights are not guaranteed. This is amazing. I'm really frightened. I'm frightened.
They have apparently no concern for their public relations image at all, because this totally sullies them.
Well, it doesn't, because no one knows about it.
Well, people are going to know about it now, because you kicked the media out of a public event.
But who knows about it?
Against the law.
Who knows
the whole
about
world
it?
is going to know about it.
Well, hopefully
we have the audio recording. We have the names of the people responsible for throwing us out.
How about asking President Saunders of the university, FAU, to be on the show? How about calling her office and saying, listen, she'll have an opportunity.
Do you think they answer the phone in their office? For 6 days, we've been contacting the university to find out what their public policy is.
Do they punch a clock? Who is paying them? If they're not in their office, are they getting paid?
Let's find out.
Well, I think Saunders
Let's take
should
a
be
page from Volanda's handbook and contact the Alumni Association and some people who are here locally who are graduates and possibly donors.
How about the poli-sci department, the political science
we don't
department?
know. Yeah, let's find out who those 3 professors are. Do they come from the poli-sci department?
I think this is absolutely the case, and to hear what's going on in there.
Yeah. Okay. You want to take another caller? Should we
Yes.
take another caller? Alan, are you still there on the line?
I'm still here.
Okay, well, we're going to bring in...
You have enough
Is your
quarters?
ear burning? We have Dave on the line. Dave calling.
Hello.
And greetings from Broward County.
Oh, hi, Dave from Broward County.
Just a thought. Used to leaflet that campus, and I would suggest if you're a good Jew that cares about your nation, about your nation of origin, you get your little butts out there with sticks and signs, walking that sidewalk in front of the entrances, and tell the people that will see you what this college campus has become. And that will take a lot of pressure off of you and put it on them. And you need to get active, you little liberals out there in Boca. You need to get your butts out there and defend Israel and stop all this Marxist left-wing crap that destroys your nation.
Wow.
Now wake up and get out there. That's my message.
Dave, are you an activist yourself?
You better believe it.
And what do you do in Broward County?
Anything I can to wake up people.
To wake up people. Would you be, if we announced on the radio that we were asking people to rally outside in front of the campus of FAU to tell the people who are driving by what's happening on the campus, would you join everybody with your signs?
Of course I would.
Okay, well maybe you're...
We need 50 people that need to get out there and cover all the driveways and entryways and make a spectacle. We don't have to make fools of ourselves, but we need to tell these corrupt people and these corrupt leftist Muslims that we aren't putting up with their crap anymore.
Wow.
And that's the end of the situation. We have to get up and stand on our feet and do something.
Can I ask you something, David? David?
Sure.
May I give you my email number? And email me. I'll put you on my mailing list, and we'll try to get together activists. I don't want you to put out your number. Let me give you my number.
actually, maybe we'll just take, if you can just hold for a minute, Dave, and I'll have Kenny take your number, and then Alan can get in touch with you.
Could you do that, David?
Yeah, that'd be better,
Sure,
I think.
and God bless you all.
All right, thank you for calling.
Thanks, David. Be well.
Okay. Yeah, Kenny, can you go ahead and take the number? Yeah, he's getting it.
Good.
That's
Thank
great.
you, David.
Well, I don't know. You were complaining earlier when we were walking into the building before 3 o'clock today that your schedule was too packed and you had too much to do, and you're speaking here and you're going to a lecture there, and you've been on the radio for 3 hours today, and you got a project now.
Tomorrow afternoon, I lecture at the Jewish Community Center in Boynton Beach. It's a great place. It's a lovely place. And I run into radical leftists all the time, and I show them newspaper articles, I show them printouts about what's happening in this country, and they absolutely refuse to believe reality. They say everything is okay under Barack Obama, we're okay, and I beat them to death. And
they keep inviting you back, so it must be penetrating a little bit.
I'm a sensation there because I'm a conservative, among the liberal Jews, and you're
speak so exotic.
Yeah, and you know too much. You're very dangerous if you're Jewish and you know too much and you speak out against the radical leftists. You're a danger. So I have a target on my back. Tom has a target on his back.
Yeah.
CJ has. I mean, we're all walking targets here because we're speaking out the truth. Why should we be afraid to speak out the truth?
Well, we're not.
Crying out loud.
We're not.
Are there any more callers on the line?
We have Alan still on.
Oh,
the line.
Alan.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Alan? Are we going to have a good rally at FAU? Would you come down and film it?
If I can be there, I will, and I encourage every listener to do the same. And if you can't make it out there, call FAU and voice your concerns, because you can do activism from your home with your computer and
you
your telephone.
Call, you can email
FAU and let them know how you feel, however that may be.
You know what?
Every powerful tool.
Every university, including a private, including a public institution, relies on the donors that give them money.
That's what I'm saying.
There has to be There have to be millionaires in Boca who contribute tremendous amount of funds into FAU.
Yeah.
We have to organize them. You hit them in the pocketbook. By us picketing, no one knows what the hell's going on. But by hitting them in the pocketbook and having their donors and their philanthropists take money away from them, this is what hurts. And this is, I think, what we should do.
Well, let me ask you guys this. I mean, since it's a public university, if they receive donations from individuals or from foundations, don't those have to be recorded somewhere for public view?
That's an excellent point.
So it should be pretty easy for somebody who's listening, who's good with the computer, who likes to do research, to find out who are the major donors to the FAU campus.
It should be public.
And let's find out who they are, and let's approach them directly ourselves.
You're seeing the beginning
of... do you know what's happening on this campus? Because I'm pretty sure, just like our caller Volanda, who attended FAU from 88 to 91, she has very positive... I've heard her talk about her college experiences before. She has a very, very positive image of her years in college at FAU, and this is not the university that she went to. And I'm sure the people who are giving hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to their alma mater,
they're a benefactor.
Yeah, to their alma mater, don't really realize what their university has become.
I think this is an excellent point.
Let's go at this from both ways. I think we need to get some people out with some signs in front of FAU for the morning drivers and for the afternoon drivers, and I think we need to investigate who the big donors are.
You know what? I have a problem here.
Yeah.
With this country. I was a school teacher and I was a school principal in New York City.
In the Bronx.
In the South Bronx.
Yeah.
And I see the educational system in this country absolutely deteriorating.
Yeah.
It's caving in to the immoral.
Yeah.
It's caving into the radical Islamists.
It glorifies deviancy.
And the anti-Americanism is rampant.
Profoundly anti-American.
I don't know if any kids in public school today learn about the functions of Congress, and the rules that apply with Congress, the judicial, the congressional, and the executive branch.
Yeah.
I think our parents have to look into what are our kids being taught today in the schools. Are they being taught about love of America? That's bad.
No, they're not.
That's bad.
They're not. If you look at the textbooks, and I've seen the textbooks, it's all about how shameful this country is and how rotten its history is and its colonial past and its oppression of slaves and its empirical ambitions. And
anti-Mexican.
It's anti-minority, it's anti-women, it's anti-black.
So why do
it's
people want to come
anti-Muslim.
here? Why do people want to come here? Why is there a waiting list of people trying to get into this country? I don't see people trying to get into Germany.
I don't see a waiting list to get out either.
But they want it to change. They want it to change.
You see a waiting list for people to leave the country? Do you see people like can't? I'm not talking about the Hollywood people who can't pack fast enough to go live in Paris. I'm talking about the rest of us.
Well, but why then can't people speak? Why don't people know what's going on? Is there stupidity among the American people?
I think people are so absorbed in the issues of their own daily lives and their own personal comforts. And I think we're so fat and spoiled in this country, and we have nobody in the history of the planet has ever had more comfort and luxury than the American people have now. And I don't just mean the people on the top. I mean all the way through every class of society. The poorest people in this country live better than 99% of everybody else in the world.
They are envied.
And that's what people are concerned with. How do I get better cable channels? How do I get better sneakers? How do I eat more food? How do I get the most with doing the least and make sure that nobody takes away any of these comforts from me? And that's what people are concerned with.
My theory is that we are mesmerized. The American people are mesmerized. They're being told the same thing by every single major network, that things are bad, the country is bad. Look what we did in Afghanistan, look what we did in Iraq, and look what we're doing all over the rest of the world. We are basically hated by our own people. Our own people hate this country.
Absolutely.
And I think it's
But
time.
I don't see them going anywhere else, do you?
Well, but they do vote, and they vote against this country.
They do. They deliberately vote against this
I'm an
country.
independent. But I knew in 2008 Barack Obama's background. I knew Reverend Wright, I knew Louis Farrakhan, I knew Rashid Khalidi, I knew Professor Syed. Didn't people know when they voted for him that his background was going to somehow take over his work, his presidency, that it was going to show itself and expose itself? Didn't they think about the possibility that he might revert back to a Reverend Wright? Why did they vote for him? I don't understand.
I think when you go back to 2008, people were tired of 8 years of war after 9/11, and they were tired of the tired of the George Bush years, and people just felt like they want a refreshing change. They want a new face.
So why didn't they put in McCain?
They want to do something different.
Why didn't they put in McCain in 2008?
Well, he's hardly a fresh, new, different face.
But he didn't have a background hostile to America.
But people overlooked it because people innately project their own selves and their own aspirations onto other people.
But 4 years later,
that's why culturally we look at the people who are trying to kill us, and we make excuses for it because we just feel like everybody is just the same as us.
Let's have role playing. You're a Democrat. 4 years later, I say to you, tell me what area of the governance of Barack Obama are you satisfied with after 4 years of him being? Tell me what positive aspect you could point to me about why he should be reelected.
Oh, absolutely. I never heard of one.
International?
I never heard of one. I never
Domestic?
heard of one from anybody I knew was voting for him.
What has happened?
It was they just didn't want to vote for the other.
Absolutely.
And they wanted to make sure to keep their entitlements.
When you talk
and that
about
was the biggest ticket for everybody. For everybody I knew who voted for him again, okay, is on some form of being on the public ticket for something.
If I were a parent of a daughter who is marriageable age, I say I wish she'd marry George Romney. Romney is Romney. I would like him to marry Romney because this is a squeaky clean guy. He was great, but they just tossed him aside for a Barack Obama who basically has indicated his dislike of this country.
Well, unfortunately, if you're the mother of that daughter, then you're probably more concerned about her ability to have access to abortions, and you probably are stupid enough to think.
But I love grandchildren. Why would I give
within the power of the President of the United States?
I love grandchildren. You know, if my daughter gave birth,
to prevent her from having access to one.
But Mitt Romney was absolutely perfect. He was a businessman. He was going to help out with the economy. Barack Obama knows nothing but street violence. My goodness gracious.
People don't care. And the people who do care and should care and get what you're talking about stayed home.
Well, then, you know what?
They sit it out.
You get what you deserve. You get
and that's what happened. America, that's what happened now in America, I think, is shifting to the left. America got what they deserve. Now, I think America is by far the best country in the world. Our Constitution and our Bill of Rights allow every individual to succeed or fail based on their own merit.
Amen.
Now, where we're at now is that we are right at that precipice where there are takers and producers. And once the takers are a larger percentage of the population than the producers, then we have a problem. But we're not there yet. There's still hope. And part of the problem is with the Republican Party is that they need to double down on foundational conservative principles of lower taxes, smaller government, and the rule of law. And if we can do that, then we will get our country back. And it's just a matter of the people wanting to do it. It'll happen. I have faith in the American people. I have faith in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. And it's just going to take hard work. It's going to take shows like this to put that message out. And I believe in American exceptionalism, and we will succeed. There is no question about it.
Well, I tell you what, the Bill of Rights was put to the test today on the FAU campus when Tom Trento and J. Mark Campbell were prevented from entering a public room on the public campus for a public speech.
Mm-hmm. And another,
and this is not uncommon.
Right. And Volanda brought up another issue that we touched on a little bit at the beginning of the show, was the special in Fort Hood that's happening tonight.
Yeah.
The victims of the 2009 Fort Hood shooting, what this story should be about is that the victims of the shootings are being denied benefits commensurate with combat injuries because the Obama administration refuses to label the attack an act of terrorism.
Right.
Instead, the shooting of Major Nadal Hassan carried out after screaming Allahu Akbar.
Right.
It is being labeled workplace violence by Janet Napolitano of the Department of Homeland Security.
It's by Barack Obama.
On a military base with a military-issued weapon.
Now, Governor Rick Perry, he's openly stated that the shooting which took place in his state was an act of terrorism, and that the president should recognize it as such. He said, quote, President Obama's refusal to call it an act of terror is a shining example of this administration's devotion to political correctness over the defense of our men and women in uniform. And what's happening is that those men and women who were injured at that shooting are not being given the benefits that they need for their medical care because it was not labeled an act of terror and it wasn't a combat-related injury.
Let me ask you a question now.
It should appall everybody.
Let me ask you a question now. Major Hassan, I hate to even call him a major, he's receiving medical care by the military, isn't he?
Of course, he's still receiving his pay.
Yeah, so
he's getting his army pay.
So like we say in Hebrew, manishtana, what is the difference?
Yeah.
Why is Major Hassan being treated with hospital care and medical care and what have you, when people who were injured by him and not slaughtered by him, and really injured by him severely, why are they not getting medical care from the federal government?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else, you guys, and I'm sure you both remember this too, is before Fort Hood even happened, there was the matter of the shooting at the Little Rock military recruitment station by a jihadi who had been recruited on his college campus in the United States, went and trained with Al-Qaeda-linked groups in Yemen, and came back looking for targets in the United States.
And that was also workplace violence.
No, that was worse. That was a drive-by shooting. A drive-by shooting.
Muslims, radical Islam can do no wrong in this present administration. They can do absolutely no wrong.
And both fathers, the father of the victim and the father of the shooter, have been working together to have this classified as a homegrown terrorist act.
You have so much confidence in this country, Alan. I wish I had the same positive outlook as you. Really, I wish I had the same positive outlook as you. But my job is to scare the living daylights out of people and to make them aware of what's going on and that their freedoms are at risk right now. If Tom and Mark were not permitted to enter a public venue paid for by taxpayers, and a speaker paid for with taxpayer money, and he was not permitted to enter because he was going to enlighten the world with what went on in that room.
He wasn't even going to disrupt. He was just going to record it.
He was going to enlighten us.
And he spent people need to remember, it's not like he barged in there like 60 minutes and said, you better let us in here and we're disrupting the proceedings, and shoved a microphone into somebody's face. He spent 6 days contacting every official that he could at the FAU campus who should be responsible for determining what are the requirements for the press to enter public meetings on this campus. And for 6 days, nobody from the FAU campus, in the legal department, in the media relations department, in the buildings department, none of them were able to tell him these are the guidelines for attending and recording public events at this public university.
Could we assume then that they were in cahoots with the Muslim SJP group in preventing...
they're protecting them.
Yeah, they're in cahoots with them.
They're protecting them.
They're in cahoots
Absolutely.
with the radical Islamists on campus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there are legal remedies that are available to us as far as exclusion of the press and First Amendment rights.
Right.
And hopefully we'll take it to the courts and get our justice, because.
But it's justice after the fact. Yeah.
This is $1 million lawsuit. This is $1 million lawsuit.
For us to be able to go to court and have a lawsuit.
Well,
so we need $1 million to go to court.
You should get a lawyer who's willing to give this pro bono and to take it to court. Just as a constitutional situation.
Well, that's what it is.
It's a constitutional situation. And any...
the subject matter is completely besides the point, although that has its own, separate component.
There should be many lawyers willing to get the publicity, because there's publicity with this.
Yeah.
And there's remuneration, because if Tom wins a suit, Tom and Mark win a suit, these attorneys get paid their legal fees, from the loser.
Right.
So if there's a lawyer...
Well, we're going to have Peter Feynman on the show on Friday, so I'm actually going to put him on the spot. Peter, if you're listening, be warned, beware. I'm going to put him on the spot and ask him when he's on the air on Friday.
Any lawyers out there in listening range, and you want to help secure and fight for the First Amendment of these great United States of America, the fight has come here to South Florida, and that the time is now for you to engage and do what's right and help Tom Trento fight for justice that he is fighting for all of you for. So this is the time, this is the place. Get active and volunteer and help do justice at Florida Atlantic University.
Yeah, let's beat them up.
It's an open and shut case.
Get a hold of the station and let's get it done.
Let's beat them up.
It's an open and shut case.
Thank you, Alan. You're such a good commercial advertisement for our cause.
You could sell your voice, Alan. Listen,
That's
Alan.
what I get paid the no bucks for.
Zamagazint, Alan. Zamagazint, be well.
Thank you so much. Gosh,
Thanks,
we had
Alan.
2 Allens on the radio today.
And we
That
both
was a
spell
lot
it
of
the
fun.
same way.
Yeah,
it's a
which
million
is
to
really
one shot.
unusual. Yeah.
How much do you weigh, Alan? Maybe we have more in common than we know.
I think you have more hair than I do.
No, should I take it off?
No. Keep it on. You earned it.
Listen, I could be in the Westminster Dog Show.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going to watch that tonight.
Okay, no, you can't watch that tonight because you have to watch the Death of the Union address. What do you, real quick, we only have about a minute apiece. What do you think the president is going to unveil? What horrors are awaiting for us in this speech tonight? I hear he's going to propose another stimulus package.
Well, President Obama is urging investments in the State of the Union despite the national mood souring on prolific spending. President Obama, after delivering a barbed inaugural address that focused on controversial social agenda items, plans to return to the economy in his State of the Union tonight. But his prescription for growth is still at odds with the Republican Party and many voters. The president is expected to revive his calls tonight for government investments in infrastructure and education.
Bridges.
More bridges to
more
nowhere.
bridges and more money for teachers.
Yeah.
Let's hire some teachers who could read and write.
Yeah. No, that's why he always asks for math teachers. Have you noticed that? He never says English teachers.
What's the reading grade for the average reading teacher? I'd like to know.
Oh, my gosh.
So Obama is expected to focus on economic growth while acknowledging the need to close the deficit through a combination of budget cuts and tax increases. And if you remember the last go around with the tax, when the George Bush tax cuts were ending and the Obama tax increases came into effect, the Republicans are equally to blame.
Of course.
Obama raised the taxes, and then the Congress did not cut spending when they had the opportunity. They deferred it 1 quarter out, and we still haven't had the spending cuts.
We never will.
You're never
we
going to
never
get the
will.
spending cuts.
We're a heap of economic
We never
trouble.
will.
You're never going to get
You know
the
what?
spending
Good
cuts.
spending cuts. Let's stop printing food stamps and just let people get food free.
Oh, no, they don't print those anymore. They
give them a card.
They have those cards, yeah.
Yeah, but do away with the cards. Just let them go.
Do away with the cards. All right. Well, it's 5:55 here in beautiful downtown Boca Raton, Florida. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. We will follow up tomorrow on TrentoVision.tv. With an update from Tom Trento and Mark about what happened on the FAU campus today. Alan Kay, thank you so much for being on the show with us all day today. And Alan Bergstein. Alan Bergstein, gosh, oh my gosh.
No, God bless Tom and Mark. Let me tell you,
you are so fantastic.
They went into the den of the devil today.
You are so fantastic. Don't forget to get Dave's number and let's get some things organized for FAU. So I want to thank everybody. Drive safely. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Be well. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for tuning in to TrentoVision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or tom@trentovision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WN.